We are live here tonight, hanging out with Zachary K. Hubbard from Numbers Games. Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, I just had to hop on because I love this topic.
That's great, man. Yeah, number one, Network, man. Network from the 70s. That was an amazing film where he was telling people to turn off their TV, go outside, you know. Cashville Lady, good to see you. And Mr. X, always. Oh, Contagion from Mr. X. Contagion was a prophetic movie. I was very surprised. But Network is what you said with Network. Yeah, that is, yeah, it's a very strong possible number one, or possibly is. Yeah.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen that movie, it came out in the '70s, and it's all foretold there. Stop with the real news. Let's start manufacturing the news so we can get way better ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some great quotes, of course, in that movie. The actor who plays the prophet, the only actor to date to win an Academy Award after dying.
Really? Who was
There's
that?
something really interesting about his passing too. I probably covered it about 10 years ago, but we can bring it up later.
Yeah, sure. If you want to bring it up, go right ahead. Yeah.
Well, let's stick to just the main plot. It's an interesting tidbit for later in the show. I'd like to hear your favorite list, and then number one for me is Network. I'll tell you what my number two is, but I got to hear your list first.
Yeah, mine. It's a little bit odd. I do think, as weird as it may be, Invasion of the Body Snatchers is on the list. The original and the one from the 70s with Thinking, right? And I have to admit, this is an odd one that is not really known. Revolver is actually a very deep movie. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it stars Jason Statham, Ray Liotta, one of the guys from The Sopranos, Andre 3000, and it was basically unknown. Revolver, I remember a friend of mine, her husband kept telling me, he's like, look, you got to see this movie. This was like around maybe 2006, around 2007. And I don't know how we got to see it because it was released in the UK, I think, in 2001. And they blocked it kind of in America. Now with these big stars, it was as if they didn't want people to see this because it came out, I think, in 2008 in America, and it was only shown in about 18 theaters. And then when I looked, he kept bothering me. You got to watch this, and I just, okay. So I finally got to see it, and no special effects. It was about Jason Statham. He was in prison, I don't know, about 8 years. And when he was there, I don't know if Andre 3000 and another guy was in there with him. And these guys were like teaching them, and it didn't really go into so much, but all of a sudden one day they disappeared. I don't know if they escaped or they got out, because it was, maybe about 15 years or more since I've seen it. And when he got out, Jason had some money, and they kept telling him what to do. Like, look, you do this, you do it this way. And it was all about controlling your ego. And the movie is phenomenal. The movie it's very hard to explain, like, just in regular concept, because it deals so much with the mind. It deals with like him saying like stuff like he's playing chess and the guy's feeding him pieces. He's taking pieces. And then the guy that's feeding him the pieces checkmates him. I think it might be Andre 3000 and the other guy. And then he tells him eventually, he goes, soon you'll start to see how people are feeding you things to get you to the point of, they have you where they want you. Where would the enemy's best place be to hide? And it would be in your head. So I have to watch that movie again, actually. Revolver is like a very deep movie with how to conquer your ego by basically submitting to not really your enemy, but to other people that are a little more powerful. I got to go over it again, but like basically it's a Guy Ritchie production, and it's about conquering basically the ego, the allegorical puzzle, the gangster facade. Uses that facade to explore spiritual awakening, but more of the breaking the illusion of control. That the biggest enemy is the voice in our heads, and it the magic formula was put out as rules of the game. While he was in solitary confinement, Jason Jake, as he played, learned a universal formula for winning any game from two neighboring inmates, which were the chess master and the so-called con man. And the film's message reveals that the ultimate game of life is played against oneself. And the magic formula essentially teaches that to be successful, you must sacrifice your pride, act selflessly, and acknowledge your opponent's position by putting yourself in their shoes. So it's extremely deep. This could be my possible number one, conquering the voice in your head, where he would say the greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look, is the core message of the movie. And so it sounds like when the guy used to tell me about it, the way he presented it was even way more vague than what I'm saying. And I was like, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, I'm going to see it. And he was an older guy, very smart guy. And after I saw it, I was like, wow, now I see why he pushed me to see that. That is up there. That is up there. Other ones that, in like a top 10 or top 5, I don't want to throw the They Live in there because everybody knows about that, but Gattaca is a very good one too. Gattaca, taken from the 4 sequences on the DNA, the G, the A, the T, the C, the guanine, adenine, the thymine, and the cytosine, the nucleobases that make up the human DNA, and GATC. They use those letters, and that's how they got the title Gattaca. And the movie, it reaches a point where children are genetically engineered to be perfect or better. And a person's DNA dictates their entire social standing, their career, their destiny. If you're born regular, you're limited to janitorial work. The word Gattaca, of course, goes back to the genetic code, but it's a corporation also in the film. And the elite aerospace, the people that go into that, have to be basically born through genetic engineering, which is not as bad as what people think of it as now, but it's more like in vitro fertilization, where you pick out certain genes and they're like, okay, you don't want your kid to be an alcoholic, you don't want to be this, and you see them like getting rid of those eggs, and so it deals with that. But then it shows how there is no gene for the human spirit. That because Ethan Hawke plays the older brother, but less. His younger brother, he was conceived in a Volkswagen, but his younger brother was conceived in the in vitro fertilization. Out achieved him as they were growing up, but Ethan always maintained like a little edge in a swim game that they would play. And Gattaca. So I would say it's Gattaca, Revolver. Those two are there. I got somebody backstage. I'm thinking about letting them on. I don't know. You might know him. I'm just going to have him. He'll hang out. I'm looking for my shield. He said, where did I put this thing? All right. Is this knowledge?
This is. I don't know who knowledge is greater than Luke's maxing is, but I would agree with the handle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know if you knew him or but So yours, those are like 2 main ones that I would say: Gattaca, Revolver, maybe even Revolver first. A few people in the chat did come up with a few. Ghetto Fab, what's up? What's up, Boo? Yeah, definitely good to see Zachary back, man. Hey, what's up, for all of the red? Waking Life, Drew Mass cards. Yeah, Drew Ma's cards. Waking Life was a pretty deep one. Eyes Wide Shut for Mr. X. Uh, Portland, what's up, man? Good to see you. Portland in the house. They Live #2. So, okay, that's two for Drew. Good, interesting topic, Zach. Always watch, keep your videos, keep speaking the truth. Thank you, Stephen Avery. Revolver, what a cast. Whew, yeah, Revolver's a sleeper movie, man. It really is. Um, Rosemary Baby, you got a little background knowledge. Just unmute when you're ready. Rosemary Baby was okay. It was okay. Taxi Driver, are you talking about, or just Taxi? Because Taxi Driver was kind of deep. Yeah, Revolver came out in '05, but it wasn't played in the US until '08, and it only played in 18 theaters. And I wondered why they tried to suppress that movie, and eventually it came out. Yeah, I Am Legend, that one was okay. VX Sarge, okay. I have arrived, my children. The Good Shepherd. I've heard of the title, but I didn't see that. The Skulls, okay. The Skulls is, I don't think that's the same as the Skull and Bones one.
It is. That's what
Oh,
it's
it is?
about.
Okay. Conspiracy.
I think he means Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's that one. Songbird, sounds familiar. Demolition Man has some stuff. Contagion, yeah, Mr. X agrees with you on that. The Boys from Brazil. There's also a film called Brazil from like the '80s, which is supposed to be a hit masterpiece. The Man of Steel, I don't know. Some of these, because some movies, it's either they distract you or they're not going to distract you. They're going to feed your mind. They're going to let you see. My wife worked on the first Captain America. Yeah, I thought Captain America was going to go to the side after 9/11. People were really like just fed up with all the BS, but somehow they brought him back from the grave, which I never really liked. I mean, as a kid, I kind of liked Spider-Man, but I grew up on Bugs Bunny more. And I look at it now, since the last 20 years, I don't really like the way the superheroes, you wake up, it's like, okay, so Batman and Iron Man, so a billionaire makes you a superhero now. Just watched The Terminator last week. It's crazy how old the movies are ahead of the time. In Terminator, there's a part where she says, she goes, we don't have machines as advanced like that. I'm not stupid. And he goes, that's right. Not for about 40 years. That was in 1984. We're 42 years ahead of that now. So yeah, Ethan Hawke was in The Purge. Yeah, The Purge was, it was all right. Training Day was okay. iRobot was a very good movie. It had some very, very deep stuff. Utopia, that's another one. No one sees gold, but gold sees everything. Revolver. Seven Psychopaths. Good to see you. Yes, you were so right. Scanner Darkly was good too. Yeah. Just got here. Happy Father's Day, Zach. That's Kevin. Hello. Every day's Father's Day. Every day's Mother's Day. 13th Floor. That's actually a pretty deep one. Knowing, I don't know if there's I don't know about that one. Oliver Tree. Devil's Advocate was pretty good. That was yeah. He definitely. Carlito's Way. That was an excellent movie. A Bronx Tale. Those two.
Devil's Advocate was filmed in Trump Tower. I run on Mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan.
Really? Holy smokes! I didn't know that. Holy smoke! Kingsman, Secret Service. I think Knowledge dropped off. If he wants to come back, he had a little background noise. 1-200 today. We up now. Yosemite Sam. Yeah, that was a character they made making fun of their boss. I've watched the life interviews of Chuck Jones. I was always a very big animation person. I do animation myself today. Let me see if there's Looney Tunes. Yeah, man. Foghorn Leghorn. I say, boy. I say. Wally was okay. Um, 1984, yeah, 1984 is a classic. Um, just looking, Misery, that was another good one. You know, fans meet the heroes, and Waking Life and Scanner Darkly on Scrims. I liked it. I couldn't watch even though Waking Life has a message and Darkly, it's just the animation wasn't like, yeah, something about it, but the movie's message was kind of deep. Uh, Ruby's First Father's Day, hello, God Mother's Day, bless Miss May. Pet Cemetery, that one's deep. See, just some quotes from these movies are deep. Like I forgot when the original, he said something like some things are supposed to stay dead, or I'd have to look through it again. And yeah, but Zach, what is your list? If you have your list, or if you want to go through them, or if you want, I can keep commentary in until you're ready. Yeah, I guess it was Knowledge said, I'm glad you went from looks topics onto these high IQ inner workings of society and conspiracy topics. I'm new, I'm cool, waiting backstage. Okay, that was when Knowledge was there. I guess Knowledge will try to hop back on. You Gotta Laugh podcast. What's up, brother? Shout out to you. Definitely check this channel. He's got some good. I actually did an interview with him a year or two ago. Frailty, you know it, man. God will protect us. You know, MD, what's up to the panel? Definitely. When he said God will blind them for us, and yeah, Frailty is a really deep movie, man. A really, really. The Shining, that's a deep movie too, without a doubt. You know, we have many different, many different good movies. Drew Ma's Cards, Dazed and Confused is using the same main character as Waking Life. Okay. Black Hawk Down, and some like, They Live Falling Down, Frailty. Okay. They Live Falling Down. Okay. Those three. Yeah. All three of those is good. We like Max. Thank you. If it's, I don't know if We is the name of a movie, but yeah, those, mine personally, like I said before, Revolver is possibly up there as a number one. I don't like to say something is just number one because there's others. Like Zach said, Network is an excellent movie. I have to say, Dinner with Andre is another deep movie too. That one is, yeah, exactly. That's the Wiggle Vision. It was messing with me when I try to watch A Waking Life. I mean, it has a deep message, but it's really, yeah, it's tough, man. Yeah, it's a tough one. But yeah, what Zach said, Network, that's like a definitely recommended one. Network, I mean, you guys got to check Network. Revolver, Gattaca, of course, They Live is so well known. But The Believers is a lesser known one that came out a year before They Live. I think They Live was 88, maybe. One was 88, one was 87. Videodrome from the 80s. That's a deep movie with James Woods. So we have Videodrome. We have a few others. I mean, Terminator said a lot. I put it on the thumbnail just to show people like, hey, you know what? The three main movies that I put on this thumbnail, which on the left is the Terminators coming at him. He's running, forward. The zombies on the right. So Night of the Living Dead, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the Puppet Masters, and the police in the back. So the police can be like Minority Report. Minority Report tried to definitely warn us about certain things. So, and then others, like I was watching a clip from Oblivion, and there's a point in the movie Oblivion where he gets the other girl that he was having the memories of, and he remembers, and he comes back and he tells his so-called wife, like, look, there's something I got to tell you, something you need to know. And she turns around as the drone that he was fixing in the sky area that they live in. And she goes, I don't want to know. It's an epic part. Right as the drone fires upon her, turns her into ashes, and then starts coming through the curtain, which is a clear, it's like a translucent curtain, could be a metaphor for breaking the veil, like the veil, the curtain that the Wizard of Oz was hidden behind. Born to Bone says Red Dawn. Yeah, Red Dawn was deep with Patrick Swayze. The Ledge Toward Masking. Yeah, Zach, if you want to throw yours in, definitely, bro.
Have you seen the movie Wag the Dog?
Yes, with De Niro.
Yeah, De Niro's in there. Yeah, there's quite a few people in there.
Yeah, definitely. That came out about, what, 12, 15 years ago?
Came out just days before the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a full month before. So,
wow.
Yeah, you think about that movie in light of the whole Epstein thing right now, too. Do you remember the plot of that movie?
Wag the Dog?
Yeah.
It was something with them. It was something like the media running things from the background, like the I think the metaphor was the tail wagging the dog. But I didn't see the whole thing. I saw like clips when I was watching and falling asleep.
You should watch it again. You should watch it again because it would really connect with you in light of what's going on with the current pretend president, or as you would call him, the is pretend.
Mm-hmm.
It factors in with Clinton too. Like I said, the movie came out about less than a month before the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal broke.
Mm-hmm.
But the plot of the movie is the president of the United States has had relations with a 12-year-old girl, essentially somebody who was selling Girl Scout cookies. I think they call them the Fireflies or something, though, in that for a different alternative name. But the point is, he had relations with a 12-year-old, and he's up for re-election. And they're saying, if this gets out, how is he ever going to get re-elected again? And they bring in a political mastermind, and he says, here's what we do. We create a war.
Wow.
And that's Robert De Niro's character.
That's like, holy.
People are saying, well, how do we create a war? And they say, well, it's only going to be on TV. It's going to seem real, but it's only going to be on TV. The war will only be on TV. And I mean, just think about this right now with the Epstein thing, and then supposedly this war with Iran, and supposedly this war with Russia and Ukraine. But I mean, we haven't seen any proof over here. I mean, all we've been told is we've had to pay billions upon billions of dollars as taxpayers for these things. But so they bring in the best director in Hollywood, essentially the Steven Spielberg type, to create this manufactured war that's only shown on TV. Mm-hmm. And yeah, in the end of the movie, the guy who manufactured the war, he wants some kind of writing credits. And they're like, are you out of your mind? People can't know this was contrived. So the movie ends with the news reporting that the director died in his sleep. And
wow.
Yeah, but there's just a lot of little elements in that movie that they invent history. They insert it into the National Archive, the historical record, stuff that never really happened. There's a lot of comedic elements that seem to be exactly how things actually operate. So I think Wag the Dog is one of the most important movies anybody could watch, especially right now. It would definitely...
Yeah, I'm remembering it, yeah. De Niro, did he have the other guy killed, or did he die?
De Niro's the political mastermind who comes up with the idea of contriving the war, but then they have to hire the Hollywood director to make the war look realistic for the people watching the news. And it's the guy who makes the fake war that ends up dying because he wanted writing credits. And they're like, is this guy an idiot? No, we're not going to let him know that you contrived a war scene. So,
because I remember De Niro, like I had, from what I remember, it's like he was still alive at the end, as if, he was untouchable or something, or like, I guess because he contrived it and the Hollywood guy produced it. Because
he's one of the biggest names in Hollywood, so he doesn't think they're going to kill him. He thinks, he's larger than life.
I got to watch it again, because there was a thing when I first heard about the movie, it was around, I think it was around 2011, 2012, something around there. And that was during the Gaddafi thing, when they had killed Gaddafi.
When the people in the NATO boots stomped him out?
Yeah, like they went there and, it was just the news thing. I don't know if the video's still on YouTube because I had like a different channel and I had thrown it up. But the Gaddafi news thing, it was so staged. It looked so totally staged, according, in my opinion. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is like, okay, the camera's rolling, everybody start acting. And kind of like when they brought down the Saddam Hussein statue, very staged.
Yep.
So the Gaddafi thing, and that's when this other channel, this guy Lennon Honor, I think he still does videos today, mostly live streams. He had pointed it out. He goes, "Wag the dog," and that's when I saw like pieces of it, and I was like, okay. I thought I had the whole premise, but now that you've explained it a lot more, shoot, that's exactly what's probably happening right now.
I mean, think about it. A president sticking his thing in little girls, a war that who knows if it's really real, but has overshadowed the Epstein thing. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, too, that movie came out in '97. Wag the Dog did. That's the 25th prime. Like this whole debacle, the Trump administration coming back into office in 2025. A part of me thinks that's not an accident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely not an accident. It's all orchestrated. They don't, even when we think they make mistakes, I start to see it's not even a mistake. It's as if it was calculated in that way. And they're always there watching us, taking notes, specifically on our behavior, our reactions, how we conduct our habits, because many of us are creatures of habit. And if we don't understand how to observe our habits, and like in Revolver, trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So especially putting yourself in the shoes of the military and whatever's behind the scene that's like looking at us as if we're like basically on a farm, being farmed for some purpose. And also the lab, the experiments, sky, air, land, stuff like that. But yeah, that one, that sounds really good. Wag the Dog. I definitely got to go through that. I think I've heard of Fall of the House of Usher. I don't exactly know that one.
That's a TV series.
Okay. Yeah, because it sounded familiar. The Believers was Martin Sheen. It was very good. I did hear Cloud Atlas. Yeah, it's a very long movie, but I heard that one deals with cloning. So that Equilibrium is a very deep one, a society using drugs to numb emotions. Yeah. And that came out right around The Matrix, Vanilla Sky. That one I got to watch. I didn't watch the whole thing. I heard it's pretty deep with identity or something like that. Disclosure Day, of course, The Matrix is definitely there. Westworld was ahead of its time. The fact that the movie from I think it came out in the 70s, James Wood in the one from the 80s, Videodrome. That's the deep one, man. Jacob's Ladder was very trippy. It was definitely trippy. The Mask, I mean, maybe it has stuff that it can teach us about with the power that came with that. Yeah, Wag the Dog is definitely Hannibal. I mean, if there's lines from these movies that can tell us something profound, then it's kind of worth it. I don't know if they're Hostile is a lot, definitely trusting who you trust. So that one was deep. 12 Monkeys. Yeah, they have Obsession. I didn't see that. I see like they're promoting that. That's the one with the chick and the guy makes some type of love spell or something like that with her. And then she just goes nuts. Should be good for guys to watch that are obsessed with the dating game.
I got to ask you, have you seen The Long Kiss Goodnight?
No, I haven't. Is that Angela Bassett or no? Or
Samuel L. Jackson, 96. Okay. His character has this quote in the movie. They need to they're trying to create a reason to boost the budget for the military and the CIA. So Samuel L. Jackson's character says, "Unfortunately, Mr. Hennessy, I have no idea how to fake killing 4,000 people, so we're just going to have to do it for real." We'll blame it on the Muslims naturally. Then we'll get my funding.
Wow. And that's the long kiss goodnight?
Yeah. When Samuel L. Do you remember when they were using Samuel L. Jackson at the beginning of Cooties 19 to tell people to shut up and stay home?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did you see that? I forget what he read from some book. God, I need to look it up. It was something just like so mocking. But when they did that with him on TV, where he read from this book, the book was like literally called "Shut the F Up" or something. I can't remember what it was. I was like, this is unbelievable. But when they had him read from that, they had him in front of the movie poster, "The Long Kiss Goodnight." That was right behind his head, and I was like, man, people just, woo, they don't get it, man. They don't get what's going on in this country.
Get that? I gotta check that. Cashville Lady says Gina Davis in Long Kiss Goodnight. I guess, yeah. I remember the name of the movie. I definitely, wow. So that's what it deals with. Holy smokes. That, yeah.
Oh yeah. This is the book he was reading was called "Stay the F at Home," telling people that they need to just shut up and stay home. And this is one of the things. This is one of the many things I use to explain to people why the scam-demic would end when the year of the tiger came around. There's a big tiger on the cover of that book. You know what? If you want me to share the screen, I'll just show it your whole audience right now.
Of what?
Of him reading the book with the Long Kiss Goodnight right behind him. This was put out on TV. This was on our national TV.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Samuel L. is, I mean, he's like definitely one of, he's one of the guys that they use to keep the people who might think their way out of the control. He's there. He's the gatekeeper. He's basically a gatekeeper. These are the loyal gatekeepers that they have. Do you think that he? Wow, this is crazy. Stay the F. Wow, he just that's messed up. Yeah, but it's the truth. Nobody. See, this is the thing. A lot of people have to realize that when these celebrities, one, I don't think you can ever trust a celebrity, politician, religious leader. It's you're doing that at your own risk. Celebrities, professors, and all of that, they're paid to deceive you. That's and he's an actor, so it's not even like he's just a musician who may not know how to act. This guy's a professional liar. So that right there should have a person very suspicious, because the only thing that can protect us is our suspicions, is to say, I wonder, yeah, he's a big old puppet. Yep, straight up puppet, man.
Another movie related that came out shortly after The Long Kiss Goodnight was the Denzel Washington movie, The Siege. Have you seen that?
Was that The Siege? Not Julia Roberts. That was Pelican Brief.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Pelican Brief, yeah.
Yeah, The Siege. I'm getting it confused with the one with Seagal, Under Siege.
It's also about Islamic terrorism in New York City.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that one, The Siege with Denzel. Yeah.
And the terrorists in that movie are mostly from Saudi Arabia, just like 9/11. So, well, according to the story, according to the official story. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just more. So the three movies with the three big black actors, if you will, Samuel L. Jackson, Denzel, and then Will Smith. I'm sure you've seen Enemy of the State.
Mm-hmm. That was an excellent movie.
Yeah, Enemy of the State, right before 9/11. The Surveillance State. Yeah, if for people who haven't seen those three movies, you should watch all three of them. I mean, there's so many movies just full of predictive programming. I mean, you could really do probably a 1 year long straight stream if we could have enough water and food and go without sleep. I mean, they've been putting it in our face for so long, that their plans through Hollywood. And when you become awake, I mean, just the more stuff you see, it's like almost every movie becomes a warning. You're like, God, look what they snuck in there. Wow, they snuck that in there. I mean, again, the more knowledge you have, the more you understand their symbolism, the more you see what they're doing.
Yeah. Little quotes. Carlito's Way had some good quotes. Many movies. have their little pieces of gems actually. Fish says number 4, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm trying to think what movie would be so relevant there for Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, I don't really see too much. I mean, the only one I can see that he co-starred in that was had some messages was Oblivion with Tom Cruise. Where,
yeah, that movie does have a few things going on.
Yeah, that one, because it showed you how they scare people away, like, oh, that's a radiation zone, that's a radiation zone, and what was talking to him the whole time wasn't even a real person. The lady was on the screen acting like she was his boss or whatever, and so finally he started to see the truth, like, wait a minute, he's been cloned, and he's been turned to think that the people on Earth are actually the enemy. So yeah, that's that one. I think about it, it's like, wow. Oblivion, that's the only one so far I could think of with Morgan Freeman. How you were saying,
I just thought of one with Morgan Freeman actually. Your governor, your former governor, the one that went to Fordham, Cuomo. The other year when he deployed the National Guard to a town in upstate New York over the Cooties 19. What's the old outbreak? Oh, that's what it's called. It's called Outbreak. With Morgan Freeman and Dustin Hoffman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have you seen Outbreak?
Yeah, Outbreak was when it began with the military bringing that the helicopter that dropped the explosive on the troops.
Yeah, the day that Cuomo deployed the National Guard to the town in New York, supposedly for Cooties 19, that was the anniversary of Outbreak coming out.
That is crazy. That is like, holy smokes. I
mean,
mean,
what's funny is in the Gematria thing, COVID equals 82, and both Dustin Hoffman and Morgan Freeman turned to 82 in 2020.
Holy smokes.
Rain Man.
Yep.
So somebody brought up Knowing earlier, and I don't think you're familiar with that one, but that one's about Nicolas Cage, where he's an MIT professor. He's a mathematics professor at MIT, and his daughter's in elementary school, and his daughter's classroom opens up a time capsule from 50 years earlier, and fittingly, his daughter pulls out the weird one, which were, everybody else's was just some message about what they think the future will be in 50 years. And then the daughter, the one she pulls up, is just a page full of nothing but numbers, just straight running numbers. Mm-hmm. And she shows it to her dad, and dad's like, what in the world? What little kid would just write down a page of his number sequences? And then what catches his eye on there is September 11th, 2001 is the number sequence and the coordinates. And he realized those are New York's coordinates. So he starts to look at it. He's like, wait a minute. All of these things are terrible things that happened on dates and the exact coordinates. So he realizes on the thing, he said, okay, the thing that hasn't happened yet is this next one. So he goes to that exact spot on the map on the date that's there. And a commercial jetliner crashes right in front of him into traffic. And he realizes somehow, some way, this little child from 50 years earlier knew the date of all the major tragedies to come in the future. And I won't ruin the ending for you, but just about numbers and things being planned out. Like the other night, we brought up how the day of the first meeting put together by Governor Dewey in New York for a future World Trade Center to be constructed. That was July 6, 1946, the day George W. Bush was born.
Wow. It's like the Hollywood, the movies, everything. It's all linked up.
Again, think about how they made the Lord of the Rings movies right around the time of 9/11. The second book in that series is The Two Towers. It released in history, I believe, November 11th, 1945. So right at the end of World War II. 11/11, The Two Towers. The World Trade Centers come down, the two towers in the 11th state on the 11th day of the month after flight AA-11, 11 years to the day of Papa Bush giving a speech about a new world order, free or a tear. Here comes the World Trade Center. And again, the World Trade Centers look like a massive 11, the master number in numerology.
Yeah. And they also put, what I noticed, they'll put songs out too. Like in 83, I think it was, that's when Scarface came out. And when Scarface, I was a kid.
You're talking about the rapper from Houston? Or you're talking about the movie. You're talking about the movie in 1983. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I don't, I don't think the rapper came out until like 87, maybe
Yeah, probably
88.
would have been later 80s.
Yeah, part of the
He's
Ghetto
part of the
Boys.
Ghetto Boys, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
one of those guys actually does a podcast. He's got a pretty
Willie D. Yeah, Willie D. Yeah.
yeah, who talks about a lot of stuff. But um, the in 1983, Scarface came out. I think it was in November, and 2 months, I think like a month and a half, not even 2 months before that, the song White Lines came out by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with Melly Mel and those rappers. And White Lines dealt specifically with cocaine. It was a song that they tried to say was a positive song to get people to be aware of the dangers, but it was actually seemed to be more of a programming to get people to do it. And it was a catchy tune, White Lines blowing through your mind, um, something of a phenomena telling your body to come along, And then a month and a half later, Scarface drops. So it was sort of like they had the song and they're pushing that, which is cocaine based, and then the movie, the advertisement to become a cocaine dealer, which is Scarface. Um, it's hard to see, but as time goes on, I started to notice like, wow, this is all planned. Um, People won't know that you can buy drugs for $5 unless the news advertises it. Word of mouth might get around to a certain extent, but when I would see things in the newspaper like that, like back in, I think it was around 2009, I was working at a dog grooming place, and this guy, the guy that owned the shop, his son had a problem with drugs, and he opened the paper and he goes, "Man," he goes, "it says here they got heroin. They're selling it for $5, over here at this part." And I said, "John," I said, "that's an advertisement." I said, "Nobody would have known that people are selling heroin for $5 over in this part of town. But now that it's in the newspaper, everybody knows." And he kind of got, I said, "Do you see how it works?" I said, "They use drugs. The government uses drugs to control us under the lie that they're fighting drugs." It's very, I mean, it's almost to where I could see somebody not being able to look at it because it shatters their reality. I was talking to a girl about this about maybe 10, 12 years ago, and we were in a bookstore, and she goes, "You're making me lose my faith in the justice system." And I was like, wow, so you're telling me you had faith in the justice system? And she did. And I could see the look on her face where she was almost to where she was shivering a little, and it looked like she might cry. So this is the fragility of the average person. It's nothing wrong with the person. It's that we're dealing with people that can't, they will fall apart if they know what reality is. They're just trying to get to the grave without losing it. And with us, we're mentally strong compared to a lot of people. Not saying we're better, we're just able to take the truth the way somebody can take medicine without a chaser. These other people, I had to realize they're not capable. Their mind cannot hold that type of weight. And even movies, some of these people can't even watch certain movies that, like Wag the Dog. Somebody might look at that and say, "Oh, that's that propaganda movie." Meanwhile, you and I know that, wow, Wag the Dog kind of explains what's happening right now more than the Clinton thing. Because, I mean, I don't know, maybe Clinton was Epstein Island, who knows? But Trump, they say, I mean, just the pictures, the amount of pictures with him and adolescent children is unnerving. Just the pictures. I told somebody, if you had a person, a regular person, with all of those, with all of those pictures with kids, I said, wouldn't you think something is off? You see this adult man, and it's like, what is this? Why is this guy taking all these pictures with these kids? At what? At a private party? But when they hear it's Trump, for some reason, I don't know if they get afraid or if the programming kicks in. I really don't.
Can we rewind a second to what you were just saying about Scarface and the drug war and the Grandmaster Flash song?
Yeah. I think it was 1983, around October or September.
Well, Reagan officially declared his drug war October 14th, 1982. And then Scarface comes out December 9th, 1983. And what's really interesting about that is it's 421 days later, which is the 82nd prime number, like how the drug war was declared by Reagan in 82. And what that number is part of is the ritualism of order out of chaos. And again, shortly after that, you got gangster rap coming out, and next thing you know, you're building prisons left and right. And all these people that are essentially part of the drug war are just filling up the cages, and corporate America is loving it because now they have legit slave labor paying pennies on the dollar. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, the government's making buku dollars, or I should say the corrupt ones within the government are funneling all these drugs into the country, which is so obvious. I'm trying to think of the guy who wrote Crossing the Rubicon, Michael. I can't think of his name, but he wrote the book as an inside whistleblower on how they were especially targeting those darker complected communities, bringing in the crack cocaine once that was the new cheap addictive thing. And all of a sudden they had the new sentencing laws that if you got caught with the cheap coke, you went to prison for way longer. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, it is very interesting how the release of Scarface, I mean, that movie's still glorified. That movie's glorified to this day. You still see young people walking around with t-shirts that say Scarface. I'm sure if you went in young people's apartments, they still got Scarface posters up on the wall. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this gangster drug pushing culture, it dupes people into a devious game. And that's the thing, too, just the word game itself. Game, like this is a game. Game equals 82. In the NBA and NHL, they play an 82-game regular season.
Yeah.
But, I don't think that's an accident at all. So
Scarface came out in December of 83. White Lines, the song, came out in October. So within a month and a half, you had the song promoted by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with the lead rapper Melly Mel. And it was a catchy tune, but when you look at it, I think it would push people to do cocaine more than restrict from it. And there's parts in the song where he says, he talks about, then they say it in a fashion just like rap will get people to be brainwashed and think that something bad is actually good or cool, where he says freeze, and freeze is a term used for people that put cocaine on their gums to get a freeze. And then he says rock, 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 and then he's like, get higher, baby, get higher, baby. So it's like freeze, the term used to put cocaine on somebody's teeth or gums to numb it. Rock, which is the crack, the freebase crack cocaine type. And then there's another point in the song where he says, I think he says freebase. So that's another term. So the song accompanied with Scarface is like you have the music and then you have the Scarface, the movie. So you have the tune, and if you want to watch something, you have the Scarface. Truth Seeker is this. This wasn't the guy that was on it the last time, right?
No, first time calling in.
Okay. Did you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a quick point to the, the war on drugs, or the war on people, as some call it. Family member shared I have to find the link, but he shared a video. It was a recording of Nixon. And Nixon was meeting with one of these botanists, agriculturalists, and he was pretty much asking, because there was some sort of spray, some sort of chemical that they could wipe out crops with. And then Nixon asked them on a recording, could we do this to like the poppy fields? And the guy kind of like was set back a little bit, and he's just like, are you sure, Mr. President? And if Nixon was serious about that, that would have completely thrown off this 80s timeline that you guys are describing, because they could have done that to any crop that, they're using to perpetuate this war on people. So I found that a little bit interesting. It's a recording of Nixon out there talking about destroying crops, and then he turned the conversation to, drug crops. So maybe that's why he got canned, but that's kind of all I wanted to add. Yeah, I've come from Zach's camp, but I appreciate you having me on, and always really good conversations over here.
Cool, man. Thanks. Mr. Yeah.
You guys have a good one.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for voicing your opinion, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mr. X, anything on your mind?
No, just tuning in right now. Just going through the list of these movies, and yeah, those are the two I could think of. I'm looking at specific movies that really predicted the future. They're out there, but they're few and far between. So I think sometimes it's not the whole movie, but a message in the movie sometimes can predict the future.
What are three movies that stand out to you?
Obviously, Contagion is the big one. That was just in your face about what was going to happen 8 years later from the movie's release date.
Just for the record, HBO recently re-added Contagion to its platform. HBO was founded by the Jesuit Dolan. I was telling you guys the other night about how the Jesuits venerate this number 201, but they re-added it to the platform 201 days after the Superior General's birthday, their leader. Just like how it was a lot of Jesuits who were behind that Event 201 pandemic simulation for the coronavirus pandemic simulation, which took place October 18th, 2019, the same day the Military World Games began in Wuhan, China. Military World Games. It's like and it is all military. I mean, Operation Warp Speed was military. Drug culture has a lot to do with military history. Again, going into Vietnam, brought over the opioid culture in a big way to the U.S. By the way, HBO also has a documentary on their platform about how important the opioid trade has been for every empire in history, going back to the Greeks and Romans, if you want to check that out.
Wow.
Zachary, I know you think the Jesuits are the main players in controlling the world, but I look at what happened at Jekyll Island and the establishment of the Federal Reserve. It seems like
which has the Jesuit fingerprints all over it. I mean, who's behind that?
How do you know that they're behind the Federal Reserve?
Because they use the same number code all throughout history. That was credited at the end of Woodrow Wilson being 56. I mean, it's a lot to explain, but they just use the same numbers over and over with all their major accomplishments in the world. The Jesuit fingerprints are all over the world wars. They're all over everything going on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else would have the logistical power to do it.
But do you think it might be some other group with a different name? The Jesuits are what we know, but they belong to something. Even the Jesuits that we know belong to another group that we don't know their name. Some other.
Well, it was a Jesuit who founded the Illuminati.
Okay.
And Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, he was part of the Alumbrado, which was the Illuminati of its time. So.
Okay, interesting. I know that.
Yeah. No, I mean, everyday world events are just perfectly coordinated with the Superior General. So, I mean, it's just like, look at everything going on. The longest government shutdown in history ended on the Superior General's 77th birthday when DC's on the 77th meridian.
They got the 222nd vote to reopen it. Superior General in Gematria equals 222. A year to the day before that, they picked Pete Hegseth with his Templar Crusader tattoos all over his body. The Jesuits are the modern day Templars. It just, I mean, you just look at it's just, you really follow it. I don't know what other group it could be. Do you realize that the calendar we're on that says you and I are having this conversation on June 21st, 2026? Do you realize that this calendar was implemented by the Jesuits?
No, I didn't know that.
That's what I mean. That's why the Jesuits run the whole show. Pretty much everything you ever learned in your science book is Jesuit. I mean, they pretty much control the medical world. They're large and in charge, and they just hide behind the scenes. They hide behind the small hats, if you will. They use the small hats as like the middle managers. They use the small hats in World War II to create their little state there in Israel that's just a military empire that does the modern day crusading for them. And you see almost the whole fake truth community thinks it's Israel that runs the show, which is laughable. They don't. They're on the same. It's just like Trump doesn't run anything. He's a puppet. So is Netanyahu. Not to mention Netanyahu went to school in the United States and changed his name for the. By the way, Benjamin Netanyahu equals the Jesuit order with his fake contrived name that he was given before he was put into power. So. And
the Freemasons, they fall under the Jesuit category too.
Modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. I have older posts. Younger guy in our community did good research. There's a periodical from the 1800s by the Masons talking about how, they really are just run by the Jesuits. That's part of the reason their logo is the big G. The Jesuit headquarters is the Church of the Jesu, and right across the street from it is the international headquarters for the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Almost all the rites of modern Freemasonry were written by Jesuit priests.
That is amazing. Did not know that.
That's what I mean. That's why that's people don't talk about who really runs the show because they don't know. And I mean, it's kind of amazing too that like the average American's so lost they don't even remember what this country was created out of. It was largely created in opposition to the Catholic Church because that was pretty much the governing force of Europe. This country was created during the time of the Protestant Reformation, which was a movement against the church.
No, I never pretended to know who was the country. It's just I know our vote didn't really mean much. There was some behind the scenes.
Of course, that's as far as I know. Anything. It's just when you go out and vote in the election, all you're doing is validating a big old lie.
Yeah,
I mean, look into the Jesuits. They have a lot to do with modern theater. I mean, they're large and in charge in Hollywood. They're everywhere. The intelligence agencies are I mean, look at the FBI and the CIA were both created by prominent Catholics. Look up Howard Hunt, the famous CIA agent. He says the greatest intelligence network in the world is the Jesuits. For the record, the words in the CIA's logo, Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America, what's written around the circle, 201. The Jesuit or the CIA's motto, the work of a nation, the center of intelligence, 201. The CIA was literally created on the 201st day of the Pope's age. That was September 18th, 47. And
what about the Black Pope?
The nickname for the CIA is Catholics in Action.
What about the Black Pope? Does he serve any real? Is that for real?
That's the Superior General. That's the same thing as the Superior General. That's his alias, the Black Pope.
Oh wow!
Look at today. Today's the 222nd day of his age, right? The Jesuits are the modern day Templars. The Templars are the original bankers. Where did the Templars flee to after they were burned at the stake in France? A lot of them fled to Switzerland. And look at what's going on today. You got supposedly this meeting with Iran and the U.S. that comes to an end after Trump says he's going to bomb the ish out of Iran. And they said it broke it up at the 80th minute. It's just such a joke. Trump just turned 80. Trump's tweet came at the 80th meeting of the meeting, with 80th minute of the meeting, which immediately ended the meeting. I mean, give me a break. It's just all this stuff is just crap. And don't forget, Trump's Jesuit educated too. He went to Fordham like Cuomo.
That's true.
Wow. Yeah, just there's a lot of stuff. The rabbit hole goes deep.
J.D. Vance just converted to Catholicism before he got, elevated to the vice presidency.
Yeah, he it's crazy. It's like there's always something behind the scenes it's even behind the scenes of the things that are behind the scenes that I think we're just not going to know about. But
How about in terms of predictive programming, The Exorcist? Where's that shot at?
What, in The Exorcist?
Yeah, the whole movie takes place where?
Georgetown University.
Boom, Jesuit.
Yeah.
All these exorcism movies are Jesuit priests. What's up with that?
I think it's a lot to do with the Catholic, right? Like the what was it? The Conjuring. That movie.
Sure, all these movies. Yeah, all these movies along those lines.
Yeah. Well, the Catholics are the only ones that are going to investigate an exorcism. Islam won't do it. Judeans won't do it, or the Christians. It's like they will send, I mean, they don't do it a lot, but I guess that's what they were pushing with the Insidious movie theories, with Annabelle, The Conjuring. I forgot what else they might have expanded it to, but The Exorcist, again, was a Catholic priest coming to, I guess, try to expel something from somebody. Yeah, so I've noticed that, but I mean, yeah, like all roads lead to Rome. It all goes back to something that we will never really know what it is, because if we did, we wouldn't even be able to speak about it. It's like people already know that if you know Italian mafia families and you try to mention that stuff on YouTube or something, we already know what would happen to you. So when people say stuff about these powerful, families, I don't really think it's as much as them, not saying that they're innocent, but it's to say that if they were like how, when you see, like I said, if you mention some of these mob families, you're going to be chilling with Elvis real soon. So when people say a lot of these things about certain organizations, I wonder, it's like, okay, if it really gets close to home, we'll know, because that person just won't be around anymore. It's like when they, they say, it's speculated that they poisoned a lot of health officials. I remember in Germany, they said it happened about 15 years ago, where it was like a natural health conference, and I think 12 people got very, very ill. Something might have been in the water. Holistic doctors over the last 15 years, 20 years, I think it's close to 100 of them that have died under what would be considered mysterious circumstances. I spoke with Stephen, what was his name again? He wrote Genetic Armageddon, Stephen Quayle. And he said, to write him on email and, to ask for permission to reprint some stuff, which I did. This was like early, maybe 2005, 2006. And, yeah, so, when I look at it, I just say, man, there's so many pieces to the puzzle that every time we put, like, we might think we see what's going on, but when we put these other pieces into the puzzle, we start to say, wow, it looked like this, but now that I add in these other pieces, it's giving me a broader view of the whole picture. I'm kind of like, who had said it on here before? The five men, that are asked, the five blind men that are asked to describe an elephant. And, the one touching the side says it's like a wall. Another one touching the tail has a different description. Somebody touching the ear and the trunk, will have different, they'll have a different output on what this thing is that they're touching. But if somebody's standing back and can see it, they could say, oh, these guys are describing parts of this elephant, but they're never going to get the idea that this is an elephant, one big, because they can't see, but they can each touch a certain part and realize it. So this is what I see, where when we get close, and it's just it might be to try to figure something out, to say, okay, I know what it is for sure. And I think like a more accurate thing is to say the evidence is pointing toward this. And we do get, and that's probably the most accurate, to say, okay, all of this stuff is lining up and it's pointing toward this. Like how you were saying, it's this group. But now we know that even though it's pointing toward that now that makes us think that, okay, being that it's pointing toward that, something might be pushing me or orchestrating everything to be pointing toward that, because of course it doesn't want it to point toward itself, because we'd figure out what it is, or we at least it would blow its cover. Whatever it is getting so powerful, it almost, to me, it doesn't really care. I mean, we see, it's like there's a book called Test Card F. I think it's on Amazon, but it's written, the author is anonymous. I really like the way they put that it's anonymous. And I bought it a few years ago. And Test Card F, it gets really deep with a lot of stuff. It talked about something with the Nazis. When they're beating somebody to death, if they see you look over at them, you're going to get beat to death next. So you got to act like you don't see it. And one guy wrote, he said, but then after they beat the person to death, they come over and they make you look at it. So when you do that, he goes, what do you condition somebody to do? You're conditioning them, telling them without telling them that you see stuff when I tell you to see it. So I don't care if I can do whatever I want. You better not see it, because if you see it, if you even act like you see it, you already know where I'm coming. You know what's going to happen. So when I come over to you and say, you look, you see it now, that's when you see it. And that Nazi ideology that was used to break people, all types of people, is used today. It's always been used here. Cashville Lady, thank you for the support. Much appreciated. Your mind must be open to receive this truth. Exactly. If the mind is not open to receive the truth, there's no way. You have to wait, like the old saying, you can't force a flower to bloom. You have to wait for it to open so it can receive the truth. Excellent words. Excellent. This is where all of these things that point towards certain things, we look back and we say, okay, how can I be more accurate in what I'm seeing in reality? Was there other times in my life where I thought evidence was all pointing toward one area, and not saying that it was pointing and saying, okay, that's totally wrong, but I looked back, all right, it's pointing at this. And then I followed the finger back to the arm where that was coming from, pointing toward that. And that gives us another clue, because I don't think it's just one thing. It just doesn't seem like it's just one. It seems like it's things behind the scenes that actually have their own little espionage and wars and stuff like that. And possibly it might go beyond just the average human, so it gets deep. The rabbit hole keeps getting deeper and deeper. It's infinite. The specific truth is imperative. Yeah. I've heard horror stories out of Canada about the Jesuits doing exorcisms going bad. Yeah, there is some crazy stuff that happens. Like, I mean, and that's like when I looked a little bit at the Conjuring series, I couldn't really watch the whole thing of Insidious and stuff. It wasn't really, I would fast forward it a little, but you can get into it on a quiet day. There is something that I noticed. I said, okay, all of these other religions, not saying anything bad about them. It's saying, well, they're not, I don't know, for lack of a better word, as serious as the Catholics, I guess. And I haven't looked into this in real life, but according to what they say online and stuff, is that, 99% of the stuff they're not going to really investigate. They're going to try to debunk it. Any little bit of debunking, they're just going to leave it alone. But that 1%, like, I guess there's some that they have that are unexplained. I don't know, and this is the I don't know is the most honest answer. Now, there are things that we do know. There's definitely things where we'll say, no, that's the culprit right there. Wild Robinson says the African Queen. I never watched the whole thing of that because I was, the black and white film came on. I guess that's what Humphrey Bogart, but I don't know the significance of it. Yeah, if you want to say. Yeah, idiocracy is wishful thinking. It's much worse. It really is much worse. It's crazy. I saw a bit of your stream earlier. I commented in the chat with the little hands. That was hilarious, Jack. That was hilarious. It just, man, it's crazy. Idiocracy was off the handle. But I don't know if, because I know Mr. X is thinking, okay, of course, there is something that's always further. But you have excellent knowledge in pointing toward what this is, how it connects with the Jesuit. I guess it's called a Jesuit order, I guess.
They're formal titles of Society of Jesus, but yeah, they go by the Jesuit order as well. Again, what would you say is the biggest puppet position on the face of the earth?
Well, the one.
President. Sorry.
What do you say, Mr. X?
I was saying you're U.S. president.
Yeah, either that or the Pope.
Yeah, it's either that or the Pope, or I could see somebody thinking maybe even I don't know who the prime minister is right now in England or Parliament.
He's going to resign tomorrow by the numbers. He's going to resign 72 days from his birthday. Resign equals 72 like Jesuit order. The headline comes from Trump today. Donald Trump 72. Remember, we got the first Jesuit Pope on the 72nd day of the year, Pope Francis, March 13th, 2013. But again, just to remind, the last two presidents we've had in this nation, all right, let's make it the last three. The whole way Obama got into politics was through a Jesuit priest, a guy who was prominent in Chicago. But again, Trump, go back and look at the headlines, you guys. July 14th, 2022, 3 headlines came out that day. The first one was Trump said he's going to run in the upcoming election. The second one was conservatives against Trump based on 60 outstanding legal cases against Trump. The third one was his ex-wife fell down the stairs and died. That was exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuitic nation year. In Gematria, Donald Trump equals 60, like he'd go on to win the 60th presidential election, and he's just done a gazillion 60 rituals, including serving French fries on Kamala's 60th birthday. Funny enough, French fries equals 62. But then he buries his ex-wife days later on July 20th, the 201st day of the year. It's very similar to when Beau Biden died, Joe Biden's son. Not to mention, by the way, Joe Biden became senator-elect in 72, and days later, his wife and daughter died in a car crash. But then, and for the record, President Biden and President Trump both equal 72, like Jesuit order, like they're both Jesuit educated. But again, Biden sacrificed Beau at age 46, 201 days before the Pope's birthday, whose name equals 201, just like the Jesuit order, who was the first Pope to live in Suite 201, who was also the first Jesuit Pope. And again, once upon a time, Inauguration Day was not the 20th of January, which the majority of the world writes 20/1, which is also the 201st day of the nation's age. All of these things slowly over time were changed and converted. And again, there's only one order in the world venerating 201. It is the Jesuits. So if that's the biggest puppet position in the world, which I think almost everyone on earth would agree it is, and all of these men are connected to the Jesuits and they're all performing similar rituals around the same number, not to mention the stuff's really going on every single day in different ways. And not to mention the thing that really changed our whole life like we'd never seen. Well, 2 things in the 21st century. You had the Twin Towers come down. Again, 2 became 0 before it became 1. Again, Georgetown's motto is both into 1. And then Event 201, put on by a bunch of Jesuits. So is there something behind the Jesuits that's greater? Is it some kind of dark spiritual force? I'm not opposed to that at all. Mm-hmm. But the people who are in physical form here that we can see with our own eyes, that are running this show, running this world, creating the events that are steering everyone's minds and all the things that come after it. To me, it's beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's the Jesuits. And it's simple thing. I mean, the average person has no idea that the majority of stuff there's, by the way, guys, the word school equals 72, money 72, Jesuit order 72, on and on and on. Things that just control us absolutely have this end code. And 72 is not an arbitrary number. Again, these people are into Kabbalah. There's 72 names of God in Kabbalah. Jesus has the 72 disciples sent out. In the Goetia, which is about demonology, there's 72 demons. Not an arbitrary number is 72 to these people who are Kabbalists. But yeah, the Jesuits, just almost nobody knows about them. And it's so obvious that they are running the show. And it's not to say they're the only thing. I mean, look at the Catholic Church. Look at how many different orders the Catholic Church has. Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus, Opus Dei. I mean, they have a lot of different things going on. But again, the tip of the spear to me, no doubt, are the people who, again, you look at what the Jesuits are responsible for. They're responsible for standardizing the English alphabet with 26 letters at the end of the 16th century, at the same moment in history that the calendar was implemented. And that's what I wrote about in my book a decade ago, is that if you go back to the end of the 16th century all the way to the present, history is just mapped out this way. Everything is picture perfect by this letter, number, and date code. So I don't know who else could be running the show. They're the ones who implemented the system.
But Zachary, don't you think it has to be beyond human? Because I think humans would screw this all up. There must be some spiritual force that's directing them.
That's why I asked you guys the other night, do you think there's something like the Holy
I do,
Grail that these people have?
100%. Oh, 100%. 100%. There's of course, I accept the metaphysical is real 100%. So I have no doubt that there's spiritual entities that are guiding them.
But it would still be these people that have their hands on whatever it is that is making all of this evil, if you will, be carried out, and for their benefit, I suppose. That must be
it's just I feel like mankind is too flawed. Even if they were evil, they'd still screw it up some way. But this is too precise for this to be humans only. It's just way too precise.
Yeah, but why couldn't it be something that's physical, that's not human, before you hit the thing that's just physical, spiritual? So like, something that might be humanoid-like, maybe, or maybe even something that's not even humanoid-like. Like, what if there's like smaller things that can control us? Like like somebody might say little people or something, but not really like little people. But you look at how the wasp injects the serum into the caterpillar, and as it lays its eggs. So when you think about this, you say, wait a second. So this wasp is laying eggs inside of the caterpillar, but there's some type of liquid or serum that is also injected that makes the caterpillar behave in a certain way. And the eggs that grow in, or the larvae that start to develop in the caterpillar, know not to eat the vital organs, because if it does, the caterpillar will die, and they'll never be able to pupate and become wasps themselves one day. So it knows to avoid the vital organs. It eats the insides of the caterpillar. And then it's eventually, the caterpillar makes a place for it, like, spins a thing, and they hatch out of it as larvae. And the caterpillar, while they're in there, will even protect them. I mean, it's insane when you think, like, how the heck could this thing have been programmed to do this? So what if something, we're seeing it multiple times in the natural world. Justin, who is this? Justin?
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. I was just listening in. I guess I just had something to add about Catholicism. If you don't mind, sorry, I hate to interrupt.
Yeah, hang on a sec. Ripple Effect, thank you for the support, brother. I much appreciate it. Ripple Effect says the Jesuits and other groups ran by fallen angels. Okay, that makes, yeah. Now we're getting deep. Now we're getting deep. Another layers added to it. Yeah, thank you, and yeah, excellent statement there, because it goes, and of course there's other things behind everything. Yeah, Light Years from Asimov. That's an excellent animated. Yeah, really good. Yeah. So you were saying, Justin?
Oh, that actually like is a perfect comment for what I was about to say. But Catholicism, or I guess Islam, or all these religions, I think they're pretty much created by, well, it's pretty much pagans, or like people that created, these ancient Orphic and Dionysian mystery cults. They pretty much I think they took over, these religions, or they created them, and they pretty much use. They pretty much disguise it as monotheism, but it's actually paganism. That's why all the dates, like Christmas is, on the winter solstice. Easter is also on a pagan holiday originally. But yeah, that comment talking about how the fallen angels or whatever are really in control. I think it might have something to do with that. It's the people who really run the world. They probably didn't stop, doing these mystery rites and stuff. And I think that's why we're hearing these stories about Epstein and stuff happening with children, child sacrifices and stuff. I think that's something that's probably been going on for a while. But yeah, I think that we can only see, like, I like how Zach's able to see things. I guess more like I guess analytically, I guess just like looking at all the data and like, okay, like the data says that the Jesuits run everything, which I think it's true, and it does go back to the Catholic Church. But it's like, what is the Catholic Church? What are these religions that control everybody? And I think it's just paganism, pretty much.
Mm. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. They have a few people in the chat where, yeah, there's something conducting the crap out of this world. Cash, lady, you said it best there. Yeah, it's clear.
But all religions have no power, even paganism, unless there's spiritual entities behind that, spiritual force behind it. There has to be something like that to really be running the whole thing in order to have any effect.
Oh, you're talking to me or the other guy?
Oh, just in general. I'm saying all these religions, whether it be paganism or the Jesuits, there has to be some type of spiritual entity, some type of force, metaphysical force behind it in order for it to have any relevance.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's definitely weird too, because it gets really weird with the mystery cults, because in certain instances they almost like combine all of the deities together. Almost like, remember the Power Rangers would come together in like a big robot and they'd be like super strong or whatever. It's more or less kind of like the same thing. Like whether you want to call these spiritual beings, or I think it's more or less more along the lines of plasma, if you want to look at it from like a scientific point of view. I think these things, they definitely operate, and it's like it's weird how they work. It's like it's one being together, but it's also the the 12 gods of the ancient Greeks and stuff. They all had, like, it's one consciousness, like one kind of entity that's controlling everything, but it's also a fragmentation, or it's like it's made up of a bunch of different things. Almost like how we're not just like a human; we have a bunch of different I guess things that make us human, a bunch of different like biology is complicated, right? I think it's more or less the same thing with like plasma and these plasma beings, if they exist.
About us seeing different things, how you said Zach sees things from one angle, I see it from another, X sees it from another, you see it from another. This picture may let us understand that a little better, because it shows when you're looking at it from the angle of the blue circle face, the shadow will be a circle of that object. But somebody looking at it from the right, from where they look at the red cylinder side of the circle, which will cast the shadow of a square, they're looking at the same object, but they're seeing a different effect. They're seeing an effect that the other person can't see from their perspective. But when they combine it, now they might say, logically, if somebody had the right formula or could think of it, they would say, wait a second. So from my angle, I'm seeing the shadow of a square. And you're telling me from your angle, you're seeing the shadow of a circle. And this is when, just thinking in that manner, you create a third mind between the two people, because it's not, no, it's a square, or the other person saying, no, it's a circle. We're saying, wait, hold up a second. So you're telling me that's what you're seeing. Right away, inquiry, the questioning, the idea, thought creates the third mind. Now we can solve something that neither one of us could have solved individually, but we solve it with a third mind in a combinatory way, which is the only way something like this could be solved, because you can only see it from one vantage point, and you will say, no, the shadow of it, like, you're seeing that circular blue translucent shadow. That's all it could be. But then the other person saying, no, what are you talking about? I'm seeing a square. I'm not seeing I'm seeing a red translucent circle. Well, what do you mean? I don't see a circle. I see a square. Mm-hmm. And unless the two people say, well, okay, wait a second. No more arguing. You're telling me that's what you're seeing? And the other guy's, okay, now he'll say, well, if something, let's do some tests, and we have a flashlight. Let's check certain objects. And we might either come to the conclusion that, wait, if I'm seeing it from a square and you're seeing a circle, this could possibly be a cylinder. Right. And that's what it is when we look at it. It's a cylinder with the circular side facing toward the left, or the downward left. And then the red is the cylinder. So also with working with each other, you could figure out the dimensions of it, like sure. the feet and all of that. So it just shows us how powerful cooperation is, how powerful creating that third mind, like I had put on the picture, to where the two people are thinking, and they're pulling thoughts from their mind to add into that third mind. And then with like 4 people right now here on the panel, we can create a 5th mind, which is extremely more powerful than just the third mind. Yeah.
That was a great picture, MD, because, like one person sees it as a square, the other one as a circle. And you could think of another entity could see the cylinder easily, just easily, wouldn't have to even think about it. He just sees it right there. And that might be these spiritual beings from the 4th dimension. Might see other, that's numbering system that they have. It might be very simple to them, but complex for us because of our dimension, the dimension that we live in.
Or the way this is a training picture for us, because things like this, if we use them more often, we train our minds. We exercise the imagination, stretching, the limits that we have. But now this picture here is even a better example of 3 people looking at it. So one person is looking at it from the top down, and they're seeing the shadow of a circle. The other person is looking from the right side, and they're seeing the shadow of a square. And the other person is looking at it from the left angle, seeing the shadow of a triangle. And this is getting closer to us having 4 people here right now. It would be another angle, like I guess the person looking at it maybe from in between, or an object that would project 4 different things, but we can see it now easily in 3. So this would be 2 people saying, no, one's saying it's circle, the other one's saying it's square. Let's try to figure this out. Oh, we might be looking at a cylinder, and I'm looking at it from this side, you're looking at it from that side. Now 3 different people are saying, wait a second, no, I'm getting a triangle. The other person saying, no, I'm getting a square. The other one saying, I'm getting a circle. So now this, of course, would be harder to solve, but still it's solvable nonetheless. These are very important. Like puzzles like this lets us see that reality is not what we perceive it to be all the time. So like in the movie Revolver, humble yourself. It's like there's such a big power in conquering the ego, or at least holding it at bay, because we might not ever be able to really conquer it. I think it was this picture here, right? The lines are perfectly straight, but all we have to do is put an adjutant, some type of tangent onto the picture. And these straight lines, even though they'll still be straight, if you looked at this picture first, you would think that those lines are bent when we put these balls on them. So now it looks like the picture bulges in the middle, as if there were something behind it pushing it upwards. But these lines are perfectly straight. This is the same exact picture with different colored balls around these squares, so in a certain pattern. But when we remove them, we see that those lines were straight. And this lets us see that our perception isn't always what reality is. A stronger illusion is this. If you back up and squeeze your eyes together where you're squinting and you back up, these horizontal lines are perfectly straight. I mean, people would say, no way. It's like, all right, measure it, put a piece of paper next to it. These horizontal lines are perfectly straight. And if you squint your eyes and back up, you start to see like, wow, they are perfectly straight. Just the way these are perfectly straight here, but when we put balls on the board, now they don't look straight. They definitely don't look like the line is perfectly straight, but they are. They're exactly perfectly straight. Reality is always not just one step ahead, but a couple of steps ahead. And that's the craziest thing about existence, is that, you say, wait a minute, I thought I knew what existence was, but looking at certain things like this is starting to really make me question what I thought was actually true compared to what is actually true. Like we, like we saw on the on the demonstrations I just put forth. Yeah, so it's just food for thought, because if we feed our minds certain things, we start to again stretch the imagination, which exercises the consciousness, allowing us to become smarter, to increase our mind power, which I would think is part of the part of the goal of being here, I guess. I didn't know if Zach had anything, or Justin, or Mr. X. I'm just looking through a couple of comments. Ripple Effect, thank you, brother, for the support. Aliens are fallen angels as well. Yeah, man, there's so much stuff. Fallen angels, alien. It's just understanding infinity. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, definitely. Yes, are fallen angels as well. They definitely. It is to understand that not one thing is going to hold us in that category. It's expansive to know that there's things that look different. There's things that, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, indeed, those are great. You should keep going with that, showing those different, because that's really a great example of, I think we're getting hotter to the truth when we see that the fact is we're seeing things in one dimension, but the reality is there's other dimensions out there, and they play a role in our life. We just can't see it. So, yeah.
No, definitely. Like also when we talked about the second dimension, possibly you look at the shadow, and the shadow is possibly a second dimension.
Yes.
And if so, like, and I was speculating with this with a few people. I even typed it into AI, and this was like a month ago, and it just if it is a shadow, like if the second dimension is length times width with no height, then it wouldn't be subject to walls or barriers. It would just go through the wall. It would go, because it's not going through the wall vertically, it's slipping underneath it. There is no height in that dimension. And it gets very it's almost like tingly in your mind when you start to think of these thoughts, because you kind of like feel when a muscle gets stressed when you're lifting something heavy. the mind will definitely have these types of reactions, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Especially on the subconscious level where it's true. It knows it's true. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a few there's a few puzzles. I got to look for them, but I have them with color. So not only does it show the shape stuff, it shows stuff where you're like, holy smokes, I thought that color was actually a different color. The government gave out the different religions. You must have a God to serve in this world. So here you are. Yeah, you definitely keeping it. Yeah, that's real. It is what, yeah. When I think,
so I got to ask. So going back to your thing about different angles, different shapes, I think it's a good analogy. From my angle and my research, it really does come back to the Jesuits being the tip of the spear and pulling the strings on major events. And hey, since we're talking about movies tonight, what do George Lucas, Martin Scorsese, John Hughes, and David Fincher all have in common?
I don't know.
They're all Jesuit educated, some of the biggest names in Hollywood. How about Denzel and Al Pacino? Where did they go to school?
No.
Jesuit educated men, two of the biggest names in acting. Probably in the last 30 years, those probably are the two biggest names. So again, I'm not saying the Jesuits are everything, but I'm saying
there's
nothing else even close.
No, your
in terms
angle.
of what's running the show on this earth right now, from Hollywood to anything else.
Yeah, no, your angle, definitely. Your angle, it's like I was shown here. You're seeing it and you're saying, hey, guys, I'm seeing the triangle from this angle, or for the circle or the square. And we're saying, okay, this is what we're seeing from our angles, and we're putting it together. So it's not that you're wrong or anything like that. What you're presenting is actual factual knowledge, and it's good. And then we're presenting stuff saying, okay, I see it here. Mr. X sees it a different way. No names, numbers. The link is pinned to the chat. I think either the top or the bottom of the chat if you want to hop on. There was something else that somebody. Oh, Abraham. Is this Raven? It's been a long time, man. Humans. Yeah, you are hilarious, right? Yeah.
I got to throw it out there since you brought up Elvis. I got to go back to a point you made earlier that I actually do disagree with. This thing about that if you're on him, you're going to end up in the obituaries. I don't think that's true at all. I mean, look at that. Look at the supposedly ancient aliens guy who just died, if he even really died. I mean, what do you think he was onto the truth with the stuff he was putting out there?
Well, it could be more than one thing. It could be somebody, had a hit on him for something else. It could be he actually
his death was synced up. His name equals the distance in days to disclosure day, which it all lined up. And he's one of the leaders in the disclosure movement. It was a ritual for that movie.
It could, yeah. So they might have did that. It could have been a ritual offing. So there's a few things. I didn't really follow it that much. I mean, I did see those guys, 4 of them in I think it was March. They had came to New York one of these months. A friend of mine bought the tickets, and I went, and it was whack. I mean, I do research on archaeology, and it was really like it was insulting because the tickets. I mean, it were like $80, $90, and that's why I was like, no, I'm not gonna get that. My friend, he's got money. He's like, yeah, he'll get it, and he was even his girlfriend. We were just like, yeah, this is whack. When they started playing clips from the ancient aliens on the History Channel at the theater, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was insulting. But David Wilcock wasn't there. It was Martell, the guy with the hair, one guy I think from England, and then this other dude. Yeah, it's like. It's commercial, those guys are fully commercial. There's a few things they present that are factual, that are definitely artifacts that somebody might say, you know what? I don't know. I really don't know how this thing was made. They don't rock the boat on the evolution religion because they know they'll lose a lot of the followers. People want the ape myth. They want to believe that there is this magical process that changes an ape into a man. Also, it's modern day blackface. Because now they can't put paint on their face without repercussions. They make these models saying, okay, these humans are closer to these animals, and the rest of humanity is evolving, so-called. And it's like, I'm surprised people can't see through that. Also, mathematics. If you bring in another science, a real science, actually, not archaeology is not really a hard science because you don't have a dating method, and you're finding stuff in the ground, which I could understand when a person, infers that, okay, this was found in this depth. So it has to be older than something found in a depth that is higher or lesser. And that would make sense. But when you study stratigraphy and how things sort through water and certain types of landslides and mudslides and pyroclastic flows, especially from Mount St. Helens, which is an empirical science that that has been observed for the last 45 years. And you start to see that, wow, this dating happens in a totally different way. So now it takes a lot of work now to say, oh, how are we going to find out how old things are? And it messes up the story. So now we're left without a story. Religion will creep in real quick, deity-based religion, because they're just fighting for your mind. Religion is just trying to own a person's mind from day one. LaDonna says Wilcox didn't show up, Max. I don't know. He didn't show up. It was four of them. It was Jason Martell, Tsoukalos, the guy with the hair, Giorgio Tsoukalos, the guy from England. I think he just passed, but I think he just passed of some like medical thing. And the other guy, I forgot his name, but he's an American guy. Not Wilcox though. Something happened with Wilcox, I guess, after. But yeah, I like what you're seeing it from your angle is not that it's wrong. I mean, of course, we are going to have some things that we're not going to be right about. The beautiful thing about that is just being able to say, oh, that's not right. And you switch it with what's right. It's like writing something down. Oh, you erase it and you write the correct thing in there. If you don't want to change the erasing or say, oh man, I don't want to mess up the paper. It looks nice the way it is. It's like, yeah, but you got to correct it. That information is outdated. What was thought to be true then is proven not to be true now. And this is an example of this. A simple example would be if somebody has a piece of paper that they wrote their age on. Now you're going to fill out that paper again. You're not writing the same age. It was true when you wrote it down, but it's not true now. You were 3, now you're 4. So that's a changeable truth. And in the physical world, we see that a lot. In the mental world, we wouldn't think that exists because we do see ourselves learning more. But as we observe other people, we see a lot of people are stuck in the same frame of mind. It's as if they never went from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. They stayed at 3. And we see people like this with basically a dangerously immature frame of mind where they'll immediately want to resort to violence, to hurt somebody or get hurt themselves, which not only encumbers them, but it can encumber the person that had to hurt them to put them in line. Like when a person starts thinking maturely, like a parent, a caring parent actually, that's always looking ahead 4, 5, 7, 12 steps to say, okay, look, we're going to try to make it through this thing called existence or life safely and securely. And this is the way we're going to do it. Yeah, Gematria says, Zach, you're a certified legend. Yes, he is, man. He definitely is. I mean, you are like Jesuit master level with the knowledge.
Well, hold on. To go back to the movies, think about this. David Fincher is who directed Fight Club, right? Fight Club ends with towers coming down in free fall at the end of the movie. That came the two biggest movies right before 9/11 were Fight Club and The Matrix. And for the record, The Matrix released in the U.S. on March 31st, the 31st of the month. Matrix equals 31. It came out 127 weeks and days before 9/11. Of course, it released on a Friday. 9/11 happened on a Tuesday. 127 is the 31st prime number. So again, Matrix equals 31. The movie came out 127 weeks and days before 9/11. Neo's passport in the movie expires on September 11th, 2001. Neo's a reshuffling of one. We all know what they rebuilt there after they came down. One World Trade Center. Again, Jesuit mottos both into one. Buildings 1, 2, and 7 fell that day. 1, 2, and 7. Ground zero in Gematria equals 127. They called it the new Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th. By the way, Biden and Putin met on Pearl Harbor Day right before Russia-Ukraine broke out. And the day they met was 201 days into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year. And the war began in the Donbass region, which is what Russia wants back. Donbass region equals 201. Anyway, the 127 number is a huge number with Bavarian Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Bavarian Illuminati equals 127. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry also equals 127. Again, the Scottish Rite rites were written by Jesuit priests, and Adam Weishaupt said part of the Illuminati's plan was to infiltrate and take over modern Freemasonry, which to me is kind of interesting because, like, well, wait a minute. Okay, it is already... The Jesuits are already behind writing the rites, and now for people who don't know, the Illuminati was formed May 1st, 1776, in the time of the Jesuit suppression. So it seemed like a way to reorganize under a different name is the way I look at it. But was it to gain further control over something that was already largely theirs? Anyway, the point is these things aren't an accident. And Hollywood, think about what movie came down the day of the 93 World Trade Center bombings. Falling down,
falling down. Falling down.
Which gives us the scene of the inflation scene in the grocery store owned by the Asian man with Corona on the street sign inside the store. I mean, we are living out such a script. And I'm telling you, start to look into who made these movies and you'll be blown away by how many of them are Jesuits. So I am so emphatic about people researching the Jesuits because almost nobody talks about them. And again, I don't know anybody on this earth that's breathing who's done more research on this topic pretty much since 9/11 happened. And I didn't start with thinking it was the Jesuits because I didn't know who they were either. But turning over enough pages, I started to go, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I figured it out. And again, if we don't identify who is messing with us, because you said it the other night, Max, you don't like to believe. So, I mean, if we're just going to chalk it up to unknowns and I don't know, but maybe this, I mean, that's not going to get it done. We got to figure out who is messing with humanity.
Well, part of it is we can uncover some of it. Realistically, it's not giving up, but it's saying that, all right, we're not going to be able to solve this problem before we die or go into the next. And maybe, we won't get answers. We didn't have answers.
We don't know that there is a next. That's a belief.
Yeah, the next is definitely a belief. And the before is a belief too. We don't know how we got here. We don't know where we're going. We might say, okay, I'm here. So the purpose might be to figure something out. One is we do see a service to each other, like the Mount Meru philosophy of the king, writing his name on the mountain, and realizes at the end that a good life is the reward for a good life. And that's just, again, it's speculative. The crazy thing is that we are never going to know. There might not be a next, but we're never going to know, even probably when we're in the next. Ripple Effect, thank you for the support, brother. He says, what big events do you think will happen next? Honestly, I would hope for this to happen, but I think it's actually going to happen. I think they're going to eventually just pay the money like they did with Iraq they're going to juice the taxpayers. What is it, the 300 billion? And then everything's going to go back to like the normal state of oppression that we usually have. But they got their money from like this whole thing with the Strait of Hormuz. It really like was some stock market manipulation thing. And these guys, I mean, I can't even believe that they got away or they're getting away with it. But if just looking at stuff, it's like, yeah, it seems like that's probably gonna, it could escalate, but I think that, yeah, possibly it's going to come back to that because it seems like it's always business as usual. It's crazy the way they, I mean, I can't believe that this is going on for as long as it's going on, but I just get the feeling that it's kind of like on the downslope now. Kind of like after the 9/11, I thought, oh man, this is it. You know, it's straight 1984 now, right? But it started to just smooth off. And I was like, okay, this guy's definitely not going to be in the presidency again. And he's in for the second term. Because I remember people having memes on MySpace saying one-term president, all of this stuff. And next thing you know, bam, he's in there.
Remember, the clue was Cleveland. He had his convention in 2016 in Cleveland, the only other split-term president. And for the record, their split terms are 132 years apart, like there's 132 rooms in the White House. And Gematria split term equals 132. So does United States of America. And for people who don't know, this country was named 132 days after the establishment of the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, can I ask a question for Zach? Because the Jesuits, one of their goddesses is the goddess Artemis. Do you think the Statue of Liberty is a representation of Artemis? Do
you want to see how connected the Artemis launch is to the Superior General?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here. I'll show you how perfect it is.
Because that seems like Artemis.
The Statue of Liberty is Apollo, the twin of Artemis. But sorry, I just want to interject.
No, it's all good.
I was showing something like when I showed that the thing, like, you know, we're saying, okay, we're not saying that what somebody's saying is totally untrue or whatever, but we're saying it's not accurate for the whole picture, or the cylinder one is better. Because somebody might say, no, it's a square. Somebody's, no, it's a circle. But in reality, a cylinder will cast the shadow of a square from one side, cast the shadow of a circle from another side, but it is a different object. And we see this with, I forgot the name of this object, but with this. And then also, I'll go back into this. I think Zach's got something here.
So I don't know if that's too small. Can you guys make that out?
Yeah, I could see it.
So from the leader of the Jesuits' birthday to the April Fool's Day launch of Artemis II was 140 days. And you can see Artemis II equates to 140 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. When you run it forward, Artemis II equals 103 like Jesuits. And then what's perfect is the last moon mission was in 72. We just talked about that with Jesuit order equaling 72. But from the anniversary of that mission ending to the April Fool's Day launch was 103 days. And remember, the majority of the craters on the moon are named after Jesuit priests. And the most prominent Jesuit priest in U.S. history is John Carroll, who founded Georgetown. Remember, they named a new crater Carroll on this latest mission, and supposedly that was after the astronaut's wife who died the day after Operation Warp Speed. And remember, they called that thing the moonshot. There's a lot more to all of this, but again, this is what's going on every day with every major news headline. And by the way, just about how stupid everything is this the right post? Oh, hold on. While this is up here, let me just show you when they returned to Earth at 5:07 p.m. You should get a kick out of this. They did also sync it up with Pink Floyd. It's wild. It's a whole other thing to talk about, but hold on. I gotta show you just how perfect the supposed return was to Earth at 5:07 p.m. Splashdown. So look at this, you guys. 5:07, the number is the 410th composite. It supposedly returned to Earth at 5:07 p.m. on April 10th, 410. And look at it when you just write it out. Look at the overlap in these cipher systems with April 10th, April Fools, outer space, conspiracy, Sandy. I mean, do you see all this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, again, and the only people that could possibly be responsible for this system. Remember the original moon landings on the 201st day of the year. Neil Alden Armstrong, 201. The Jesuit Order, 201. The Twilight Zone, 201. The first episode of the Twilight Zone, the pilot putting a man on the moon.
Yeah.
Rod Serling, born on Christmas, a day that's really only important to the Catholic Church. They got the whole world celebrating that day. That's the day they began celebrating the sun's birthday as Sol Invictus.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, no, you definitely have a very, very, very good grasp on it with the mathematics and the gematria. Ripple effect. Thank you, brother, for the support. He says, "Is Satan light bearer, broken chain, and crown?" Oh, the Statue of Liberty. Yes, definitely. We did a stream on that where, yeah, it definitely is. It looks like it's the statue of Lucifer, the Liberty. Yeah, it's very, and yeah, it's yeah, I think the stream, yeah, we did a stream on that. But like with the numbers, so what you're saying is, like, what it seems to me is that something like when you were saying they standardized the alphabet into 26 letters, what was that, in the 1500s?
Correct.
Okay, so the 1500s, if they're standardizing that, I'm thinking that, okay, then that's about when modern English seems to have kicked in. And when modern English kicks in, basically what we're speaking today, or very, very close to it, we say, okay, it's like they're casting a net, just the way they cast a, when they put a grid over something to measure it, like in, this grid here, they put the grid over it to measure it. Now, they're doing it with words and time. So time is the calendar that you're saying. So they're putting that invisible grid of the count. They're like the grid with the physical measuring. That's like based on the Euclidean geometry. But even though we know things change, you can measure a shoreline, but every time you measure it with something smaller, you get a longer number because it's more accurate. And the shoreline changes. So that's, another thing. So it's like we're trying to grasp the ungraspable. So, it's like the more we know, the more it's receding. But what you're saying, like, we can at least try to figure our way out, because you're saying, look, this is the grid that they put over, which is the calendar. I don't know, what is it, Augustus or something like that, or Octavius?
Gregorian calendar?
Yeah, or Gregorian, yeah. But it's so we got that, and then you got the numerology gematria codes. So you're seeing, so you got the time structure, the construction of that they're putting on it, and then the gematria. And I guess using this in accordance, it's like I'm seeing it from the other end. I'm seeing it from the end of saying, okay, I'm seeing a circle and you're seeing the square, and I'm saying, okay, we're both seeing this, and we're adding it together, creating basically the third mind. So it's like we're using both of our minds to say, okay, this is what I'm seeing, and this is what you're seeing. Now, possibly that grid of what would be considered the calendar, the grid of time, and then the numerology and the mathematics of gematria that you're applying to it, that is a very strong part of possibly decoding what we see as reality, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and even predicting that's what, to me, I find fascinating. If there's a way how, when you say, okay, somebody had left a comment a while ago, and it was something that this happened 111 days later. Now we know a couple of those patterns maybe predict something that would happen. Has that happened?
Oh, we have a million correct predictions over the years. I told you about what we did with the market. We've nailed so many things with sports, news, elections. Again, I was telling people 4 years in advance why they were going to bring Trump back in 2024. I was telling everybody way before Biden got elected. I was like the only person on the internet explaining why Biden was going to win in 2020. The first GOP debate with Trump, they had to put up on the screen that he was the 133rd richest man when they had a field of 20 candidates for the GOP. We said, there it is right there, you guys. President, White House, and government equal 133. Understanding these numbers, they're putting out information in front of your face that foretells the future all the time. The Knicks, you're out in New York. The Knicks just did an exact reversal of the 99 finals and just won the finals on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. And, 6-13, the last championship coach for the Knicks was Red Holzman, who won 613 games. And the 6-1-3 and the 201, that's the amazing thing about June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. The phrase Jewish mysticism equals 201, just like the Holy Bible equals 201. And this Kabbalah thing is largely based in the Torah. And, the 613 mitzvahs are mentioned in the Torah. But Jewish mysticism, again, 201, the Jesuit order 201. The Jesuits do have some Jewish origins to them. There were several converts from Judaism to Catholicism during the time of the Protestant Reformation when the Jesuits were created, because Martin Luther targeted both the Catholic Church and Judaism. He said you cannot have a decent society if these things exist. He saw them as poison to humanity. So, again, that is also part of, no doubt, how the Jesuits got into what is traditionally a Jewish practice, this practice of coding numbers into words, which comes from Kabbalah. Mm-hmm. But, the predictive programming is immense. I mean, that's why I have the large following that I do on my Patreon. I have one of the most successful Patreons in the history of Patreon because of how many people have benefited off taking advantage of rigged sports and changed their life. I mean, we've taken people from being homeless to being established with this knowledge. Wow. So, there's tons of predictive power in, and I saw somebody in your chat the other day. I gave you guys a pretty good breakdown of how we use this against the market. And I just saw somebody in your chat like, this guy thinks you can use Gematria to take advantage of the market. We've proven we have. I mean, we've changed our lives over here. I don't want to brag about my financial well-being, but when I see people on the sidelines making fun of what I'm sharing, I just know that's a low IQ, low intellect type of person. This knowledge has immense predictive power in it. And I don't think there's anybody walking the earth that's nailed more sports futures and exact predictions than yours truly. And so often, if you start to look in these sports leagues, I mean, what's the biggest sports league in the NFL or in America? It's the NFL, where people like to watch men bent over in tights. Yeah. What do they play for? They play for the Lombardi Trophy, a Jesuit. You start to look at pro sports, it will blow your mind if you look at how many players and coaches are Jesuit educated. It's disproportionately a huge percentage of every pro sports league. You want your kids to play in the league someday, ball chasers, as you would phrase it, you better send them to a Jesuit school if you want them to have a chance. Mm-hmm. So, who knows what's being done to those kids as they get groomed for the rig sports league.
Man, depends.
Just to make point, Michael Jackson, when he had his big trial, if he was a diddler or not, that ended. By the way, Diddy, I called it a year before it happened. I said, watch, they're going to take Diddy down at age 54. And guess what? The same Jesuit-educated lawyer from Georgetown who took down R. Kelly and had him sentenced on the big anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, the same one who took R. Kelly down at age 54, took down Diddy at 54. And for the record, Jesuit order is also 54, like Georgetown was founded by a 54-year-old John Carroll. And just for the record, the Jesuit headquarters is at the Church of the Jesus Building 54. But about Michael Jackson, who went through something similar, he was acquitted on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. And the day Michael Jackson died, it is George Orwell's birthday. Michael Jackson did have a monster 1984. But more importantly, Michael Jackson, the moonwalker who turned 11 right after Apollo 11, the moon landing, Michael Jackson died on the anniversary of the first Jesuit priest to publish works mapping out the movements of the moon. And it's what I mean. It's just you start to look at everything going on the world stage. You start to see that these are all inside little Jesuit jokes, including the supposed death of Michael Jackson, who I'm pretty sure didn't die. I'm pretty sure he reappeared on Larry King as Dave. But are you aware of that, the Dave interview?
With Larry King?
Yeah.
No. Well, who's Dave?
Just look up Dave interview with Larry King, and then you'll know.
All right. I'll definitely.
Yeah, no, you'll laugh your ass off. It's Michael Jackson in an outfit, so it seems.
Ripple Effect, thank you for the support, brother. He says, has anyone seen another C-19 coming? I mean, I hope not, man.
Of course. Of course another one's coming. Look, you guys, okay.
Crazy, Zach.
Another one is coming. Of course it's coming. Last year on Cannonball Day, which is only important to the Jesuits, it's the day to remember their founder being shot with a cannonball. The other year, Billy Cannon dropped dead on that day. The other year, there was a emergency fire alarm at the Cannonball building on that day. The other year, Judge Eileen Cannon wanted Trump in court on Cannonball Day. But on Cannonball Day, which is to remember their founder getting shot, the World Health Organization, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Johns Hopkins, the CDC, they published a document called the Pandemic Declaration, which is to make sure everybody gets their shots really fast in the next pandemic. And Bill Gates has been a broken record saying there's going to be another one sooner than people think. Again, this is how you can also see it's Jesuit. The fact that they created that document on the day to remember, it's just like all this stuff, you guys. The 201 is all over Sandy Hook. The first person to get the shot was Sandy Lindsay on the anniversary of Sandy Hook, which was also the day of the total solar eclipse in Argentina, where the first Jesuit Pope was from, Pope Francis, when a corona is the light that shows around the sun during the time of a total eclipse. It's just, I mean, you start to look at everything. Again, there can be no doubt about what's going on in this world, you guys.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. DK, what's up, man? I didn't know. Justin tried to join, but it said his device wasn't connected. So if he wants to try again, what's up, DK?
I'll throw in some movies. I think the main part of Oblivion is that the fact that we're being reincarnated over and over with memory wipe. And that's why, like, when he finally realizes that all the agents are Tom Cruise, they're all him. It's just a different number, you know. And then those of us who can wake up within these incarnations where we've had our memory wipe, then we're surrounded by all these, what people call NPCs. And in that movie, he had that redheaded girl, which was like, you know, kind of like his, co-worker and love interest or whatever for the meantime. And then she was like, I don't even want to know, you know. So we're all allegorically surrounded by sleepers, like I usually call them sleepers. And then we're all so asleep, we're like literally working on
your thing is breaking up, but DK, I don't know what it is.
Prison.
Are you driving or something? Yeah, it's not coming in, man. I don't know.
No, I'm out by the beach. There's not.
Oh, okay. I hear you now. I just heard you clear for a second. Yeah, now it's like kind of, I'm not really hearing you, but it was very clear for a minute. I just heard it a little. It's probably the positioning. You probably, I don't know where you just were, but it came in clear for a second. When you first came on, it was clear.
Yeah.
Okay, I just heard yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's not.
Does that?
Not really hearing nothing.
It does that. I'm walking like I'll mute up till I get more bars.
Okay, I hear you now. I hear you. Are you there?
I was just saying I'll mute myself till I get more bars.
Oh, all right. I can hear you now. I don't know if you're in a better area.
Okay. I'm just like walking right out.
Oh, yeah. Now it's
out on the beach. I haven't even moved. Like,
Yeah, just Gematria says Gematria pays. Yeah, man, that's great, man. It's like, I mean, I don't gamble, but somebody that was in the chat before, he gambles like about a lot of money on football games. Drew Cash cards or something like that. I think he changed it. It used to be fitness. I don't know if he listens. He might have already known about your channel. But you know, I had met him back on Blog Talk Radio back in like 2012. Demolition Man showed you where the world was headed. Yeah, man, it was kind of, yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's definitely a tough one. That one was just
Taco Bell, the only remaining fast food company. For the record, the only fast food company with a 201 in the name too.
Wow. Wow. It's just
I was going to show you about the actor who played Howard Bill in Network, what they did with him.
Who, the newscaster?
Howard Bill's the newscaster. He's the prophetic newscaster.
I remember when he was, I don't know if it was him, but they had a part with Ned Beatty. Ned Beatty's in it, I think.
Ned Beatty, yeah, he recently died. He died at 83. Murder equals 83, like Network. The song Murder by Numbers by the Police came out in 83.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
So Peter Finch, who played Howard, for anyone who's never seen Network, some people might find this movie boring, but you got to make it through. They're just gems in this movie, and it really did foretell the future of news. Again, the lady comes in, she's the new head of the news network. She says, listen, we're done with the news. It's time to start producing the news. We got to get ratings up. This needs to be for profit. And here we are today. But yeah, Howard Beale, great character played by Peter Finch, who became the first actor to win an Oscar after dying. And look at this. From the release of Network to his death was 49 days. It was the 49th Oscars where he became the first actor, again, to win an award after dying. And look, his character name, Howard Beale, equals 49, just like his actual name, Peter Finch. Again, if you're new here, there's 4 base ciphers of the English language. They're all based on the alphabetic order. The most simple is A is 1 up to Z is 26. There's also running the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1 back to A is 26, in both orders with numerology applied. Howard Beale, 49, his character. Peter Finch, his actor name. He dies 49 days after the movie comes out. And again, wins Best Actor at the 49th Oscars. First person to do it as a dead man. And from the release of the movie to the Oscars was 121 days. We see that a lot in celebrity death. Blood Sacrifice is 121. And from his date of death until the Oscars was 73 days. That connects to Sacrifice and Ritual Sacrifice. Network came out on the day, leaving 34 days left in the year. I did this post years ago. Murder, you can see how there's this overlap with Murder and Network. It's not to say that every network is a murder, but then years later, Ned Beatty dies at 83. Ned Beatty also died on the day, leaving 201 days left in the year, which is fitting because Network came out in 1977. Oh, by the way, Network is 2 hours and 1 minute long, 2:01.
Wow.
It came out in 1977, which is the year the country turned 201. You know, Tom Brady was born that year. Elvis died that year. But who was the woman with Elvis when he died?
I don't
Ginger Aldine. Her name equals 201. And Elvis recorded for Sun Record Studios, like the Jesuit Orders logos, the Sun.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis dead at 42. Just the word Jesuit alone is 42. But yeah, Network did come out in the year the country turned 201 years old. And the movie does run 2 hours and 1 minute. Or hold on. Maybe it was that those Oscars were in the year the country turned 201 years old. Oh, he died in 77. Okay, actually, that movie came out in 76, but it does run 2 hours and 1 minute. He died in 77, the year it turned 201 years old, which was also the year of those Oscars. So, yeah, that's what it was with the 201 in 1977. But, yeah, I mean, this is nothing uncommon. This is what goes on every day in the world of entertainment. You learn this ABC 1, 2, 3 thing. You just see it's just day after day. It's just like this. This is nothing out of the ordinary. So,
wow. Yeah, that's definitely code breaking. I don't know if DK's got bars on his phone yet. Whenever he does, yeah, they're putting it in front of the face. Yeah, the numbers, there's a reality to it. But I interviewed one of the guys from the Cabbage Patch Kids incubator babies. Guy Peterson wrote Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Babies. We had him on here twice. Really nice guy, very friendly. I think he's either from the UK or Australia. Midnight Meat Train. He said that's a good movie. The whole Cabbage Patch thing is very. It makes you wonder, like that whole myth of the stalk. The baby is brought by the stalk. And then, they're saying that like it could have been the stalk of the cabbage that some of the Cabbage Patch or incubator babies were grown on, or like, something like that. Yeah. It's kind of, it's a thought, it's definitely a thought about that. CRISPR's off the handle. The fact that they have the gene editing program, hacked from like, real biology, like human biology. It's a scary thought. The movie Society. I haven't seen that movie. I've heard about it, but yeah, Society. It sounds very familiar. Yeah, the actors are definitely on the world. It's all good cop, bad cop. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right.
Did you see this person's question about Candace Owens? In your chat,
the Gematria,
more of a statement, I guess.
They wanted Candace Owens. I don't get it.
Candace Owens and her husband both converted to Catholicism. Candace Owens is full of ish. I can't believe anybody follows these people. Nobody wanted to off Candace Owens, you guys. It's just a publicity stunt.
Yeah, somebody had called that out. I think they were saying that. If somebody wants to off her, why did she go to some like event? Like there was some event she went to.
When she met up with Erica Kirk.
No, I didn't know. Well, why? What do you mean?
Oh, she had a private meeting with Erica Kirk. It was exactly 33 weeks into her age, and it was shortly after she had just done this thing exposing the Mason's secret code of 33. And it's like, it's just annoying watching this. Like, who doesn't already know about the Masons in 33? What is it supposed to be? Some great big,
that's open. Yeah, that's open. Yeah,
but then next thing you know, she's meeting with Erica Kirk exactly 33 weeks into her age. And, Erica Kirk's operating out of Scottsdale on the 33rd parallel. It's
knowing the name. It's like it always struck me as, like America. Erica is the latter part of the word America. It's just spelt with a K.
Again, she's Jesuit educated. She went to Regis in Denver.
It gives that whole feeling of like a plant, kind of like but yeah, that's a whole other thing. I mean, I think DK, I forgot the movie he had mentioned. Are you there, DK? Or he probably still does. Oblivion, yes, that's what it was. Yeah, I was saying something about it with the part where it's funny that you mentioned that movie because I was just watching a part of it today. And when the girl, because Tom Cruise and I forgot the girl's name, they're living in like this sky apartment, or that's what I guess the machines had made for them. It's like in orbit or something, very high. And man, your thing isn't coming in clear. But
they were pods.
Yeah, like pods.
They were living in pods on top
of what?
On top of like really tall pedestals, like taller than telephone poles. It was up into like the clouds.
Yeah, up into the cloud. Okay, so it did have a pole. It wasn't like floating or something. Okay. Yeah, it was like, yeah, exactly, like an apartment or a house in the clouds. But his job was going around getting these drones, these fighter drones, and fixing and repairing them. And him and his wife, the the person on the camera, which seemed to be like AI, was like, all right, are you people being an effective couple or an effective team? And they're like, yeah. Once
That
the
wasn't
lady,
his wife. That wasn't his wife. It was just his coworker.
okay, his coworker, all
His
right.
wife was the other Asian one that he remembered that crashed in the ship, and he's like, "Oh shit, this chick's my
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
wife."
Well, the wife was the girl that before he was taken by the aliens, the Asian type of looking girl. But then the redhead that he's sleeping with, the coworker, she's actually, I think, weren't they in a sexual scene in that when they were like in the beginning of the movie, like him and the redhead that lived in the tower, the cloud tower. I think, but
No,
because they
yes,
were using them to clone, they were clones actually, right? I think they were all clones.
no,
So
only he was the clone.
the what?
Only he was the clone.
Oh, she was,
Only he was the clone.
no, but didn't they
Only he
have?
was being cloned.
Yeah, but didn't they show her as being one of the clones when they were in the Tet, and you see them in those like triangular pods?
No, those were all Tom Cruise.
Are you sure? Let me
I'm
see.
almost positive. Yeah.
Clone pods from the movie Oblivion. Okay.
And while you're
clone.
talking about Oblivion, looking that up, the movie Oblivion dovetails perfect into Maze Runner. Maze Runner's great. It's like I think they've already released 3 or maybe the 4th part, but the original Maze Runner's great. You familiar with that one?
The what?
Maze Runner. Are you familiar with Maze Runner?
That sounds familiar, but I don't remember watching it.
That's another good one. That's the same allegory where you're being thrown into something and then you have no memory, and then all of a sudden you start remembering, and then like he's like one of the woke ones, so he starts figuring everything out for everyone. And then another really good one most people never heard of is Source Code. You ever heard of that one?
Yeah, that's with that guy Jake Gyllenhaal or something.
Yeah, Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, that one actually, that one was pretty deep because he's like they're like keeping him alive in like this tank. He's like just what, like half a body or 3/4 of his body or something, being kept alive like in a tank.
Yeah,
and
well,
they're like replaying his mind.
it was
to
just like
find out.
Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, kind of like Jacob's Ladder, but
He-
on another like Jacob's Ladder, he was dying on the operating table the whole time. He was dreaming that he came back home from Vietnam and was working at the post office and all of that stuff. And then when he started seeing those weird like faces in the cars with looking like they have like a mask on, and then like coming to the closer of the movie, at the end, he realizes he's on the operating table in a field tent in Vietnam, dying, right? Like, or he died or something.
Yeah, basically the whole movie Jacob's Ladder is a dream he's having. That's it.
Yeah, while he's on while he's dying in Vietnam on the operating table. Yeah. It's actually that's a deep that's actually, well, like Source Code is like that, but I would say it's about a step deeper because they're searching through his memory while they keep like repeating and playing the train scene that he was on when he crashed and ended up in that, like in the predicament. And now they're basically just keeping him alive to try to juice what they can get from his memories from the crash to figure out who sabotaged it, right?
Yeah, and then they can keep replaying the very like 12 monkeys take on it, where they
until they can find out or get more clues to say, okay, this is the saboteur.
You know what other movie Jake Gyllenhaal's in that's full of predictive programming is Donnie Darko.
Oh man, that one.
Darko.
I didn't see the whole thing, but that one was kind of, yeah. That's a weird movie, man. I didn't really understand it, honestly.
Well, again, a plane crashes into his house, right? And it first premiered on January 19th, 119, 911 in reverse, 2001. By the way, that half the movie is set at the school, which is a Jesuit school. You see the IHS all throughout the movie. The little girl, his little sister from that movie, just died the other day. Did you see that?
No.
Dead at 35. What was it? 35 weeks after the anniversary of her last film that she was in. 149 days from the Superior General's birthday, the 35th prime. It's kind of like JFK. JFK was born on the 149th day of the year. Number 35 killed off I-35.
So you're saying Jake's younger sister died?
His little sister in that movie, the actress.
Okay. In real life, she died, you're saying? Or in the movie?
Yeah, she played Lilo of Lilo and Stitch. She was the voice actress for that character. And Lilo equals 24. She died on the 24th anniversary of the first Lilo and Stitch movie coming out.
It's like someone close to them always dies. Wow.
Whenever they put out anything in the world of entertainment that's based on like an older iteration of that film or that show, somebody from the older one dies every time. You just put up that great little meme of the Wednesday actress. I can't believe people didn't see what they did with right when that show came out, the original Wednesday from the Addams Family dropped dead.
Wow. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you left a comment with that. The Wednesday. So the real Wednesday died the day they put the movie in the, it was live, right?
Lisa Loring is the original Wednesday Addams. She dropped dead at 64. Her name, Lisa Loring, equals 64. Addams Family came out in 64 and ran 64 episodes. She died shortly after Wednesday released. She died 66 days after Wednesday released. Ortega, the surname of the actress who plays Wednesday, equals 66. You could also say it was a span of 67 days. We talk about 67. All the kids are saying 6-7 right now. It drives me nuts because we've been talking about this 67 thing for a long time. Blood sacrifice and human sacrifice equals 67, as does satanic, as does soul, as does killer. And that song that all those kids say 6-7 from, the rapper's talking about killing people when all of a sudden he says 6-7. He's talking about killing his ops. But yeah, so it was in short proximity to Wednesday coming out, about 2 months later. And let me see. Yeah, I'm just looking at my old post on it. There's some other stuff too. Jenna Ortega, for the record, her birthday is the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, September 27th, which is also the day Google celebrates its birthday. And if you look that up about Google, they say they don't know why they celebrate their birthday on September 27th, but I think it's pretty obvious. The big G, again, the Jesuit headquarters is the Church of the Jesu with the G, so... Anyway, yeah, Lisa Loring, dead shortly after the release of Wednesday.
Wow, that's crazy.
And again, like I said, dead at 64. Her name equals 64. Addams Family came out in 64 and ran 64 episodes. Oh, I forgot to mention it. Ended in 66, like how she died 66 days after Wednesday released.
Wow, that's like, man. Yeah. Gangster says District 9. District 9 was kind of a deep, yeah. I don't know if anybody else saw that one. Yeah, that's Addams Family. There's definitely some stuff to that. Yeah, the numbers, or the numbers show it's like it's a pattern.
With regards to human origins and like architects of humanity, Prometheus was a good one for that with the black goo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another one.
Genetic manipulation.
Yep, they had that in another one too. But yeah, Prometheus was a good one.
But I think Prometheus was imitating the Nephilim, having, they came down and engaged in sexual relations with women.
I think that one was more of the they didn't engage in sexual relations with women in that movie at all. They were
Prometheus did. He came down and had sex with a woman. And then
in the original Prometheus story or in the movie?
On the movie, I remember he came down and had sex.
They were like 10-foot tall engineers. They were like, they would kill people as soon as they would bitch slap them and just break their neck off. In that movie Prometheus, they were modifying the biome of the
was there a scene where the alien has sex with the female? Isn't there a scene like that?
No, they were trying to inject their, I don't know how, like DNA, and then it would just eat you, and it would be reborn right away into a more aggressive version of that same thing, and that's what the black goo was allegedly doing. But that was like a Anunnaki. That's like the Anunnaki story more than anything. That Prometheus one of them coming and manipulating the genetics, not interbreeding. Interbreeding would be more of a fallen angel thing, which is another, the whole thing of pagans is a psyop, fallen angels is a psyop. So originally, the term Christian was the derogatory term that, which were like the people who venerated the sun as the, like lens of God here, not the actual God. That would be like the Egyptian Ra, right? And then, the moon worshippers, which is this cult that is still running the show here. That's why everything's based on the number 19 associated with the moon, and everybody's getting cancer, which is associated with the moon, right? So that the pagans was a term that these moon worshippers used to delineate them between the people who, did their stuff during the day under the sun. And then that got switched around. Now the Christians, which is 99% of Christianity, is, nonsense that was made up that the Christians are following as their religion. And the 1% of stuff that, the message that Yeshua was actually teaching, and the Ayurvedic healing principles and all that stuff, and the breath work and all that they don't know nothing about that. That's now like called, New Age hooey or whatever. So everything's been like inverted. The word pagan, it would be, that's now used as a derogatory term. The real derogatory term would be Christian. And then fallen angel thing was, those were positive, larger human beings that were only like 7 to maybe 8 foot tall, which would be able to have sex with a human being, had same genetic pattern, that were sent over from the planet Atlas in the Pleiades, one of the 7 sisters, to help humanity. So when those guys from Atlas came over here, 200 of them, to help with the reptilian invasion and the genetic manipulation, those guys from Atlas were Atlans, and then they were the ones who started Atlantis, so that's how that whole story. So that's all been inverted. The fallen angels, it doesn't say fallen demons or fallen bad guys. They fell out of the sky because they came here, that's how it was called when you came here as an extraterrestrial, whether you teleported down to the surface from a ship, or the ship landed, or whatever the hell it was. That's how it's explained in every single religion. Beings come from the sky and ships of light, or just appearing, and just, every single kind of story, including burning bushes talking to people. You know what I mean? So I would say the whole thing has been the notions that we have, that we use to give like these derogatory terms that we have in our mind that are is actually the positive ones, and that's a sign of how deep the mind control goes. Even people who are awake are still using the psyop language that has been established, hundreds and even some thousands of years ago.
Interesting.
And like Judeo-Christian, another just meaningless word. They believe that Yeshua was a false Messiah, and he's currently suffering in a boiling vat of oil or something like that. And then for the Christians, he's their Messiah about to come. So it's completely two opposite ends of the spectrum, but then have a word like Judeo-Christian, which just doesn't mean anything. It's like two opposing.
Sure. It's definitely man-made.
Or the Hebrew Israelites, another one. Make absolutely two words that don't belong together at all. Hebrew is a language that the fake Jews speak, which was originally Phoenician, and then they just changed the name of the Phoenician language to Hebrew, and then Israelites would be spiritual followers of this dude whose name got changed to Israel after he was, you know, enlightened by some positive extraterrestrial. So, you know, they're not even in the same time frame. None of those people would be black either. You know what I mean? It's just a complete psyop in every which way you want to look at it.
Sure.
The closest blacks we would have to like what the Hebrew Israelite psyop is the Ethiopian Gnostics. That's what those people should be looking into and you know, getting close to, and that Bible down there as well, which doesn't have a lot of the newly added stuff like the heaven and hell principles and the crucifixion hoax and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
What was that one movie? Another one, the Divergent trilogy is really good. What was the one movie with Christian Bale where they're like the government's injecting him so their feelings they can't, and then he was like asked to kill the dogs, and that's when he woke up. He's like, I ain't doing that. God, that was another.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the title of that one.
I think it's Equilibrium.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
that is it.
Yeah, that was a good movie. That came out right around the time of The Matrix, too.
Yeah.
Elysium's really good too.
Yeah, Elysium is a really good movie. That actually seems like what we have today, almost. You know,
Pretty much.
Yeah. They can cure whatever. Matter of fact, a lot of the stuff that they push for people to eat causes a lot of the problems, and it's like a merry-go-round asylum with the drug foods and the foods that cause problems that are banned in a lot of countries, but here in the American experiment, they're everywhere. I don't know.
Shutter Island.
The what?
Ooh, I like that.
Shutter Island.
Yeah, that was actually a good one.
We're all on. That's basically what you were just explaining. We're all on Shutter Island, and some of us just realized it, and the others don't even realize it. They're just, are you smoking their cigarettes? Are you drinking their soda? Are you crazy? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yo, we're all on Shutter Island. Yo, that is brutal. Holy,
that's the whole allegory of these movies, you know, because that's the whole trick of the Hollywood magician, right? Hollywood is the wood of the magic wand is made out of, correct? So
yep, it's true.
That's how they show you the truth in the form of entertainment, but the whole movie's like an allegory of some huge big picture outlook on it, and you're just like, oh yeah, did you see what she was wearing, or did you see what she said? But like the whole thing is like, there's, you know, they got to Hollywoodize it, but there's like a main point to it, and that's what pretty much goes over everyone's head in all these movies. Even the ones we're naming, you know, people don't even get like the big they get the little details like disclosure in there, but they don't get like the big picture, like what they're trying to tell us is going on overall. Like they're planning for thousands of years. We're thinking about this movie that came out like 15 years ago. Like, you know, they're talking about something that's been going on for like this many thousand years.
You bringing up Hollywood reminds me of that movie Weapons they put out last year, where the witch cast the spell. I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but a big theme in the movie is 217. And shortly after that movie released, you had the mass shooting reportedly at the Catholic school in Minneapolis, where they initially reported 2 dead, 17 injured. There's a scene in Weapons where Dad's trying to think about what might have happened to the kids, and he pictures an AR-15 with the number 217 on it. Again, that movie came out just before that school shooting. There's a lot more to it, but it's crazy how much predictive program. Nobody's brought up Truman Show yet tonight, have they?
Yeah, somebody said it in the chat. Yeah.
Oh, in the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr.
Rex, you said it?
No, it wasn't me, but that was a good one because of reality TV, how that took off. Yeah.
And just about being watched, right? I mean, now it's almost like, in a sense, we're all becoming the Truman character.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm leaning. If I lean back in my chair, I'm on the police camera because it's right in front of my office window. So,
holy smokes! Yeah, I mean, they're everywhere. The police cameras. I mean, the phone. We carry the surveillance device with us. every computer, anywhere, doorbell cameras, like it's full surveillance. It is what it is. I mean, you remember the Bernard Goetz story from 1980s, the guy on the subway that shot the 4 kids that were trying to rob him, or they say that they were trying to rob him. I don't know if you remember that, but he was working in the 80s on like microphones the size of finishing nails, so very slim, like the size of a lead of a pencil, very thin microphones. And this is in the 80s. So imagine going 40 to almost 50 years into the future. That's, there are things that people would not believe. It doesn't matter whether they believe it or not, but the fact that it exists, where you have microphones and video devices that are almost undetected, you're not going to be able to figure out what it is. Just the way they have like certain very small insects that are robotic, but you would never be able to tell that it was robotic. It's a kind of robotics that look organic in a way. And now they're, well, not now, but before, they've already hacked into the organic. So even if they could implant mechanical operating controls into an organic insect, it would now be almost undetectable as something that is not a regular insect, because it's housed in the body of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they got some humans like that. Yeah, Agent Smiths. Yeah, it definitely it is what, yeah, it definitely is, man. It's it just yeah, it's food for thought. It's definitely Plum Island is brutal when you think about it. I think they're selling it. I think they said they stopped researching there, right? But I think they're selling it or something. If you check, it's up
to Texas. I heard. The animal controls. Yeah, they moved it to Texas.
I think we spoke about that island in South Carolina, the one with the rhesus monkeys on it? That's crazy, right? Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, that was that was a decent vampire movie. I mean, they're the Believers, that's like epic level movies. The 90s did have they had some really deep movie, like Johnny Mnemonic with, which had the dolphin with the that could, a dolphin, I think, that could hack computers or something like that. Equilibrium, of course, The Matrix, Gattaca, a good few. Dark City was another one, I think, from the 90s that was really deep.
Go back even further. There's a lot of movies from way back in the day, but Wizard of Oz, the one detail they changed from the movie to the film is in the book, or so from the book to the movie. In the book, Dorothy wears silver slippers and walks the gold brick road, silver and gold, original money.
Mm-hmm.
And the man behind the screen there at the end, again alluding to what's controlling the world, banks, and also just the screens making things way scarier than they really are. Everyone just
something behind. Yeah. And the image though that it projected with the hologram was reptilian alien looking, that green face in Wizard of Oz that they before they pulled the curtain back. And Toto is like in total, everything, so everyone gets together, pulls the curtain back. Her silver slippers, they're definitely meant to be like silver holding its value, from the Eastern, what was it, like the Eastern bankers versus the Western bankers. That's why the house, her house, it killed the Wicked Witch of the East, right? it fell on the Wicked Witch. No, was it? Yeah. So the Wicked Witch of the West was left, and yeah, something with money where she was liquidated, basically, something like that. The Wizard of Oz has some really deep stuff. I think they say a dude hung himself, but I'm not sure if it's true. But a lot of people got
thinking of the singer from oh God, what are they called? Ian, what's his name? Ian Curtis from Joy Division.
Oh, the Brock band.
Oh, well, yeah. They say he hung himself watching The Wizard of Oz, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're saying there's somebody that hung it, person hanging in the background of the Wizard of Oz movie.
Yes, something like that, right?
Well, there's a major hanging thing because there is a scene where you can see a person hanging in the background. The Joy Division singer supposedly hung himself while watching the movie, and then the other year when Chris Cornell of Soundgarden died, initially they reported his death on the anniversary of the publishing of Wizard of Oz, and then they changed it to the next day. By the way, for people who don't know, Chris Cornell performed the song "In My Time of Dying" for the first time ever, right before his death. That's Led Zeppelin's song. But yeah, the Chris Cornell hanging also doesn't make any sense. And then Chester Bennington supposedly hung himself that same year on Chris Cornell's birthday, which, by the way, Chris Cornell's birthday is the 201st day of the year, and those deaths happen in the year of the Great American Solar Eclipse. But
Zach, what about the significance of the name of that band?
Well, Black Hole Sun equals 201. They're a big hit from Soundgarden. But yeah, no, I was going to say Soundgarden's out of Seattle, which is known as the Emerald City, just like Emerald City's in Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, they have to put on the
Lincoln Park for a second.
I don't know what to say about Lincoln Park. I know they're out of Illinois, the land of Lincoln.
No, do you know what Lincoln Park is?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the one in that's like the mind control center in Canada. It's like the Tavistock / MIT all rolled into one or whatever. If you look at the history of that place, Lincoln Park in Canada.
I didn't know that. Y'all look into it.
Well, yeah, Lincoln Park has some significant with the name. And I think didn't the lead singer from that or one of the singers from that also get
He hung himself on Chris Cornell's birthday in the year Chris Cornell supposedly hung himself.
And
that's what Zach just said. That's why I mentioned that. I thought he was referring to that.
Weren't they both trying to expose something with like a PDF file ring or something?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was something Scribe was telling me about that. Like both of them. Let me see if I'm gonna look it up and check it.
While you're looking it up, before I forget, I would suggest that the greater meaning behind the silver and gold in the Wizard of Oz, because remember, like each character was missing a chakra. Like the lion was missing the heart chakra, and then the Tin Man
a brain, a heart, and courage.
Right. So they were like. Silver and gold are known for gold is known to be the male vibration and silver is known to be the female vibration. So maybe that has, it's like to balance the male and female aspects of the consciousness and as well as the brain and the heart and the courage or whatever that Zach just mentioned.
I just always think about it in terms of just what you see in the general public. Hardly anybody has a brain. Nobody really has any fight in them, which is heart. And courage also. I mean, most people are afraid of everything. So,
yeah, I mean, the brain thing, I had showed this before where this picture here from the Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow already has wits and he is not confident that he has a brain, but he solves a few problems on the way to Oz, proving that he had wits. But in this picture, he is given a piece of paper, a diploma. So it's like, it's such a mind game to say, wait a minute, you already got brains, well, let's give you this, right? Because, I'm telling you, again, like the book Test Card F, you don't see it until I tell you see it. So it's like you got brains, but you're not going to acknowledge it until I give you this paper that says you have brains. The lion, the cowardly lion, even though he did act with a little bit of courage in one part, he's given the badge. So now he's saying, okay, here's a supplement. Same thing with the Tin Man, who showed he was caring, and then, he says, okay, here, take this fake heart. But the Scarecrow one is probably one of the best examples of basically, here's something to say that you have brains, which you already have. Because remember, you can't say you have it. You're not looked at as the authority of your own destiny. The state is the one that does that. And in the Wizard of Oz, he floats off. He doesn't even get prosecuted for all the stuff he did to the people in Oz. When they get to Emerald City, remember at the end of the Yellow Brick Road, they have to trade in. They have to put on the paper glasses. So now that's representing paper money, because now it's not gold anymore from the Yellow Brick Road type of thing. It's got a lot of different things that I think it can go in many different directions. I'm not sure, which one would be like, if there is one that's the definitive right answer to the interpretation of the movie.
The Green Emerald City, for the heart chakra, they reached that finally, because you're supposed to use your brain in your head for like all the inputs, the sight, the smell, the touch, and get all the inputs, and then you gotta use your gut brain, your intuition, to discern everything, and then finally process it through the heart brain in the end to get like a full, like scope on the truth and how you should respond and behave towards it and everything, like a complete human being, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, the Wizard definitely. I mean, when they remade another one, Michael Jackson and I think it was Diana Ross and Nipsey Russell, I think, had made The Wiz. So it was a more of a, I think it was an all-black cast for The Wizard of Oz. I'm not sure, but I think Bill Cosby played the Oz in that, the Wizard of Oz in The Wiz. And it was sort of like a little more musical, I would say. But it was pretty deep. It followed the story, pretty good. I don't know if you've seen the one that, what was it? Like a prelude to the Wizard of Oz, when the wizard first went there or something like that. Something Return to Oz, maybe it might have been. Yeah, I'm not. I forgot the name, but they have had some spin-offs of the Wizard of Oz, just like Alice in Wonderland. They do the what was it? Through the Looking Glass. That was Mission Impossible was kind of deep, yeah. And Johnny Five is alive. Short Circuit. Yeah, that yeah, it definitely. I would think some of the 70s and 80s movies were just phenomenal. A lot of those movies, I don't think they're, they might have something coming a little. Face Off. Yeah, Face Off was actually, the concept was kind of deep. The concept was, that's Travolta and Cage, right? Yeah.
Cherry 2000.
I remember the name, but I don't remember the movie.
That was the first robot movie ever, I'm pretty sure.
Cherry 2000. Twilight Zone in the 60s. Yeah. I think that went from the late 50s to like the early 60s. That's it. To be done that long ago. Yeah, the guy in the movie, and two kids, I think, with that. Yes, that's some tough stuff, man.
Has anyone heard of Nazis on the Moon and Iron Sky?
Nazis on the Moon sounds familiar. Both of them, Iron Sky too. Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't see them.
Those are like B-rate actors. I think Busey's son is in one of them. But it's about like some of the stuff that Anna Nerby and the Tool Society were doing, and about like the Nazi plastic surgery of changing like people, like likeness of who people are and stuff like that. Pretty trippy. You know what? Another good one that was kind of like there was a whole overlay of like a Hollywood story over it, but The Prestige about Nikola Tesla and the time machine.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that one?
No, that one I didn't see with Tesla. No.
Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman are the two actors. That one was like big.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, with Hugh Jackman. Yeah, he played as some. Yeah, I remember that one. And David Bowie plays as Tesla, right?
Who plays as Tesla? You said
David Bowie, was it?
Oh, you know what? I think so. I'm not sure, but I think you may be right on that one. I'm not sure. But that's what he had, the disappearing man trick, Christian Bale, and no one could beat that trick. And it was because he cloned himself. And I kept telling people, like, you know, throughout the last 15 years about like all these, like George Bush senior's already on like his 30th clone. And I'm like, that's not how they do cloning. They don't grow like some fetus looking thing in a pod and have it like aged perfectly to you and have like 30 of them waiting. So if you die, and then they just like syncord your last, 8 minutes of your brain, just like out of source code, and reload it back into the clone. If I wanted a clone of you, I would just get you and we would just time travel 5 seconds into the past. That's it. And then there's 2 of you, and then you just proceed from there on. Nobody, the timeline is unchanged. You know what I mean? So they could just do that. If they have that technology, they could just do that 20 times over and create 20 clones. And then you would just have to brief that clone if there's a time gap on what happened. That's it. And there was a movie they had about that too, called, I think, The Sixth Day or something like that, or I forgot, where they had the memory. I think Arnold was in that one. They had the memory all loaded on a chip, and they could just put you, put it back into your clone if you die or if you get sick or something. Then I don't remember I can't quite remember the name of that movie. So I want to say the guy from Full House, the dad from Full House, the guy that like is a comedian as well, played one of the main bad guys in that one.
And I
forgot that guy's name.
Who else was in it?
Man, that one I can't even. It had the main actor was like a no-name guy, but I think I just remember the way the stuff they called it when they were transferring like all your last memories that you had into your clone was called a syncording, like almost like the word sync. It was called syncording, and when someone died, they would grab them and then they would look at their syncording. They could see like if somebody killed them or something, like they could see the whole scene through their eyes, like they saw it.
What was that called? The Sixth Day?
I thought so.
Yeah, the Sixth Day. Yeah, I think, yeah.
I thought about it. There was another movie where Arnold was in too. They had like a baby. The Catholic Church starts with like a baby being born that they're gonna sacrifice. I forget what the name is. Almost like a Rosemary's Baby, but a new version of it.
Oh, A. Smith. Thank you. He said Richard Pryor played the wizard. Okay. Who was Bill Cosby in The Wiz? I thought he was. What? Richard Pryor played The Wiz? Are you sure? I don't know. Let me see. Who played the Wizard of Oz?
Just for the record, End of Days is the movie DK was talking about. The Vatican calls the hospital in New York.
Oh, okay.
The baby's born at the right time. They need to sacrifice him.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? AS is right. It was Richard Pryor. I stand corrected, man. I thought it was Bill Cosby, man. Yeah, I guess maybe Bill Cosby wasn't even in The Wiz. He didn't. Holy smokes. I'm thinking Bill Cosby was in there. He wasn't even in it, man. That is so, I tell you, man, what we think, what we remember, it's like, it's always good to stay open-minded. It's like
Edge of Tomorrow. Anyone seen that one?
The what?
Edge of Tomorrow, another Tom Cruise.
Oh, yes. That was the one where they're fighting in the war, like they get dropped in or something, like through some time device, like that puts them forward in the future or something like that, is it?
they're fighting these aliens, and there's different there's these boss level aliens, and if you kill one of those, then every time you die, it just restart. You don't really die. It just restarts over again. So he just keeps returning back to the same spot every time they drop him off in that war. So he starts learning. He gets better and better and better. And after a while, he's just like, he just knows the shit like the back of his hand. And that's kind of like an allegory. Like, we get reincarnated so many times over. Finally, we wake up and we get it. You know what I mean? After like 1,000 times. That one is a good one, though.
Hey, how about the 12 Monkeys with Bruce Willis back in '95?
That one.
Yeah. With it.
They're trying to learn through him, right? They keep sending him back to get more info.
Yeah, and there's a big disease that wipes out the planet, and there's almost a civil war going on between these different armies. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. You think about it, it's like, yeah.
Show. I see Truman Show and Devil's Advocate as being almost the same thing. He realizes it's all like a stage he's being played,
Yeah. There's 2 movies that are basically the same as the movie Skeleton Key. That was actually a pretty good movie. I think Kate Hudson,
Morgan Freeman.
And was it Morgan Freeman in that? The Skeleton
Detective?
No, I don't think he was in the Skeleton Key.
Maybe I'm confusing movies. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. Maybe I'm thinking of the Bone Collector.
Maybe I think Bone Collector is Denzel, or no?
Yeah,
yeah, it is Denzel. I'm thinking of something else.
I think Skeleton Key, Kate Hudson, a few unknown actors. Really good movie about like a not possession, but like a transference of bodies type of movie, like through a witchcraft spell type. And that is the same premise that Jordan, very similar to his movie Get Out, when the guy is being like, they take the body and they'll put the person's consciousness in another person's body. But they do it with like a medical thing in Jordan Peele's thing. In the Skeleton Key, it does it in a more ritualistic type of, I would guess, a type of voodoo, witchcraft, something like that.
What about Selfless, when they do it with technology that it's like Ben Kingsley, I think, and Zach's doppelganger? I keep forgetting what that guy's name is.
Ben Kingsley, who played in Gandhi, that guy?
Yeah, I think so. In the movie Selfless, they transfer his consciousness into this guy that looks like Zach, because he's young and healthy and he's about to die. He's a billionaire, and that guy wants money for his daughter's cancer treatment or whatever, and he sells his body so this guy could take it over. And then the rich guy finally realizes, dude, I can't be this guy, and then he just lets his consciousness fade away, and the other guy's resumes, takes over the body again. That one's pretty good.
Wow. That whole, you think about that transference of consciousness into another vessel. It's just, it's kind of shocking to be like, man, this whole thing. Hyperborean, what's up? He says Farrell's work is more fictional than anything. Yeah, if you want to hop on, bro, we got the link pinned to the top of the chat. I think you and Zach might have a really deep conversation, man. Hostile Hyperborean's a really cool dude. He has some very, very deep outlooks on existence and stuff like that. The movies, I would think he probably knows. Metropolis, it's over 100 years old, and that's a trippy movie, man. I mean, the fact that they're making a robotic woman that gives birth to male workers, you wonder about that. What I don't get it, Yeah, the Devil's Advocate, man. Yeah, that was, I don't know. Oh, it was a time travel movie? Oh, yeah, because it kind of showed, at the end, he ended up being it had a time warp thing to it.
Have you seen the one? It's the newer, I can't remember if it's a Guardians of the Galaxy or Avengers, but they have that certain race that's pretty advanced. They're all gold. They're painted all gold. Their hair is all gold. And in one of the last ones, I can't remember, it was like probably Endgame or the one right after Endgame. And like her whole planet is pissed at her because she was like head of the army and she screwed everything up. And he's telling her like, "Hey, you're in big trouble." She's like, "I know. That's why, they're going to be really happy when they see what I created." And she created like the artificial womb looking thing. And she goes, "I shall call it Adam." I don't know if you remember that scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yep. At the end. Right. Of part 2. It was at the end of part 2, was it?
It was the one where pretty sure it was the one where they bring forth this like supervillain black guy who has like his face peeled like on top of a face. It's like a fake skin on top of jacked up face.
Yeah.
And Rocket, and then like at the end, the guy when he's like, "Yeah, your name is like P something." He's like, "My name is Rocket Raccoon," and then he blows him away or whatever. That I think it's in that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that yeah.
Galaxy 4, I guess it would be, or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking some of the Guardians of the Galaxy, the second one I think it is was really good. That was the one with Yondu. That was that one. Yeah, with Yondu, the guy with the arrow, and he would control it through whistling, like a mentally controlled arrow that would like go through almost anything.
He had a Bluetooth arrow and a Bluetooth fin that was connected to his brain on his head. And then updated like in one of those, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And then it was like a big old mohawk shark fin. And then, but yeah, that same principle. The other guy, after he dies, the other guy like tries to take over his power.
Yeah.
That was allegorical. I think that he was blue, Yondu. Like, there's something very tangible about this blue thing. Buddha was like allegedly like the first ascended master after the flood of Noah. He's always depicted as blue, and like the Hopi were depicted as blue or taken to a safe place by another blue tribe. The Smurfs are depicted blue. You have the Blue Man Group, Project Blue Beam. Like there's a lot of blue symbolism, and it ain't Blue Origins, the stupid fake space thing. I think Yondu was depicted as blue because blues were like known as the most spiritual, like I guess ethnicity of humans, and they were like done away with way back when, and now we're just left with the with the original seeding from when they say like the second seeding of humans on Earth. We're like in the third right now. That it was yellow, white, red, and blue. And blues are all gone. What's left over of the red are the natives. What's left over the yellow is the Asians. And what's left over the white is like, the white people. And that the blacks came from Lyra, much like in the last seeding, that they were seeded by black Lyrans in New Zealand when, the water level was much lower. So like New Zealand and all those areas over there would have been part of Australia. That's all like mountaintops now. If you take the water level down 400 feet where it used to be, there, they were like, how did these people migrate and all this stuff? So the original point for like the black seeding was New Zealand, and then they spread from there. And then like you could walk across to Africa as well. It wasn't like separated by that.
And whose theory is this?
This is like from some of the ancient text, and a lot of it has been bastardized by like disinformation agents like Zechariah Sitchin and stuff like that. But some of that old stuff that's been turned into this Anunnaki story, it's like in there, and some of it goes into the Urantia gets into the Urantia book. You familiar with the Urantia book?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then
It's like a thick Bible, the Urantia.
it's like the Iliad by Homer.
Yeah, it's very, very big thing. I mean, well, you know, that star theory, it gets a little deep. You know, genetics and all of that show a different picture. But you never know. You know, like we were saying, things don't necessarily have to exactly be like when we look at the thing here. Like somebody was saying, don't look at the shadow, look at the object, but you wouldn't be able to figure out what the object is looking from one side. See, the shadow, people telling you what they see, saying, hey, I see a square, you see a circle, and deduction on top of that allows you to realize, wait a minute, we might be looking at a cylinder, because from one angle, it will look like a square, the other angle, it will look like a circle. And when you're looking at other shapes, they will actually have different effects with the shadow. So looking at the shadow actually is necessary to figure out the object. Otherwise, you'll only be looking at one facet of the object, thinking you know what it is.
It's like looking at a flag to check out the wind.
The what?
It's like looking at a flag to study the wind. You're looking at what the wind is doing, like the shadow that it's causing or moving the trees or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you're looking at it from the wind is actually, you're saying, okay, you can see from one angle, basically from looking at, say, the side of the flag and seeing, okay, the wind is either blowing it in which direction, you know, by the direction of the flag blown by the wind. But something that would also have something that the flag is doing that you couldn't see, that somebody else could see. And then they would say, oh, okay, I'm seeing this. You're seeing that. You're seeing the flag blow the wind this way. But I'm able to see where the shadow is being cast on the ground. So it gives you more information to say the wind is blowing and what time of day possibly, by understanding where the shadows cast. Or something in that matter. This is just a loose example, but the picture, that's the one that actually shows it to where we can understand it a little better, to say, hey, I'm seeing the square, somebody else sees the triangle, and then the other person is looking down and he sees the circle, the circular shadow. So somebody might say, well, wait a minute, so how it can't be all three, but it could be an object that can cast all three different shadows. And this picture proves it to be true. So looking at things in that way, you start to, you know, get a broader understanding. Like if we look at this picture here, the gray on the left in the B square, right, which is right to the left of the green cylinder, that middle square on this checkered board is the same exact color gray as the dark gray out on the corner above on the top of the board, that corner. Now on the right side, you see put that connects those two grays, and you can see then they're exactly the same color. But when you look to the left, it's almost unbelievable. You would say, no way is the middle square the same shade as the top dark square, because the top dark square. But when you look at it in comparison on the right, when you put the two gray bars next to it, you realize, holy smokes, it is the exact same color. So this is a strong color illusion, and those strong color illusions, they really start to make you see that sometimes what you think is exactly true isn't. It's like it can be not an illusion, but it could be that you're only seeing one part of it. And as you get other information from somebody else, you see the second part of it. Now you create the third mind. which solves a problem that you or the other person could not have solved by themselves. It took combination of the two to create the third mind to solve that problem.
50 Shades of Grey, right?
No, not 50 Shades of Grey. What do you mean, from the gray thing I showed you just now?
Yeah, like how they can just totally trick you. You don't realize you're looking at the same thing, but it's something totally different, right?
Well, it's not totally different. It's saying that you look on the left, the middle square looks much lighter than the dark square on the top of the board. But if you look on the right and you see when they have two gray lines holding the frame in between each, now you see how, wait a minute, that does look like the same exact color on the right picture, the middle square and the top square. But in the left picture, it looks like two different colors. It looks like one is extremely lighter than the top one, which is darker.
Modern day tattoo artists are using the trickery of this shading effect to make these tattoos now that look so like photorealistic, like they're jumping off your arm or your chest.
Yeah, they even make tattoos that have these tattoos look like a sew-on patch. Very realistic. Like, holy smokes, really. Yeah, amazing stuff. Yeah, no, it's definitely real. Jesse's saying, nah. No, it's real, man. I'll put it back up there if you want me to. I'm looking at it, and you can't.
You know, a moment ago, you briefly touched on something, and then I forgot. And then it transitioned into this. But the other night we were talking about it, and I had to go. I didn't get a chance to finish, like, making a couple points that I had. We were talking about like adaptation and evolution, that convo, and I forgot to throw in there, which was like one of the main things that like can be used to argue about, like, wait a minute, neither side is really correct. Have you heard of the Valley of the Whales?
Oh, that sounds real familiar.
So
Australia? No, not Australia.
It's in Egypt, and there's just it's just, I don't know how many square miles. You have to look it up.
Is it in North Africa? No.
Yeah, in Egypt, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So there's just skeletons of all these sea creatures. It looks like the seafloor, but it's out in the middle of the desert. And, it has these entire whales. They're like, 50, 60 feet long. And some of them, like, they're not the whales that we have in our ocean today. They have like shark teeth, like rows of teeth. They're predators. And some of them, they even have like little arms and legs that haven't yet morphed into fins. And like, there's no way, obviously, that an animal that's like 60 feet long is going to be supported by little like dog legs. You know what I mean? But like, they're still there, So like, what state of evolution was that thing? Which we agree there's no such thing as evolution. Either somebody's genetically manipulating these things to have such severe changes, or there's very slow adaptation. And adaptation would work, if it went one way and had to come back for certain environmental changes, it would readapt and come back to very close to where it was originally before the original adaptation. So that throws a big kink in the mix. Like, first of all, how did the ocean floor get up that high on the desert, that far inland?
The Great Flood.
Right, correct. But what the hell kind of creatures are those? You know what I'm saying? And then you have all the stories of the minotaurs and the centaurs, and like, those would be like, what's the craziest like work animal? It's a horse, a ox, like a bull, so. But those animals, although they are strong, they can only do very limited things for you because they don't have arms to like manipulate the environment. They just have like 4 legs. So if you were to add like a human upper torso to that, man, that would be the best work horse, the term best work slave race you could ever make. So, if the story goes that Atlantis got turned into a cesspit of genetic manipulation where they were trying to create the greatest slave race of creatures ever, then that would make sense. And then in order to get rid of all of that, to get back to a more blueprint pattern of what all these animals were, you got a, great flood to, kill everything off except for the few people you tell, hey, step aside for a minute. We got to clean the slate real quick, and then we'll, when it all clears, just come back out. We got to restart this, man. They really got in and manipulated our experiment, and it went way bad. We got to try to get it back on track by cleaning the slate. If you want to talk like big picture allegory or whatever.
I mean, genetics definitely, it takes us into a place where we might not ever have thought it points. X and I have talked about it on some older streams about the melanin, the albinism, template, the blue eye origin. So it kind of takes away a lot of what is said in many theories, because it shows that everybody has that template. More than that, all life, like when we look at things and we think,
I think he synchronistically misspoke right now and said blue origin, which is right on point.
No, well, blue-eyed origin,
I know, but you said blue origin, which is exactly what that dude named his, so that may be part of why he.
Yeah, no, I hear you. This gray that we looked at, right, that we see in the middle on the left is the same color as the top, but they look totally different. It looks darker and lighter. And we see on the right, they are the same shade, the middle cube and the top one. But there's a stronger illusion with color. On the left, the brown dot square on the top and the orange on the left, in the cube on the left, look like one is orange on the side of the cube and the top has a brown cube. But on the right, when you cover the rest of the colors and you put it, you see that they're exactly the same shade of brown, which is an extremely strong illusion. Like on the left, you see the red circle around two cubes, the brown, which is on the checkerboard surface, and the one that's on the side of the cube, the orange one. But then on the right, you see that they're actually the same color. This much stronger color illusion, because one totally looks like orange and the other looks brown, but they're actually the same color. And just by covering the other ones, so it shows us that things around something can actually change our perception of the color and even the shape of how it looks.
Are we sure about that one? That one I'm having trouble with.
With the orange one, this one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Look at the one on the left, and you see the orange color in the middle of the side.
Right, and then you're saying the brown one in the middle, it only appears brown because of the white around it, but they're really both the same color.
Yeah, now when you look on the right, you see what it looks like when you cover it and you just expose the little cube itself, how they're the same color. So if you were to screenshot this, right, and you take a Photoshop or something or an art program and you cover it and you just take the eraser and erase out, to where the white covering would show the orange part and then the brown part, it would show like on the right where they both look brown. So it's very similar to this one here with the gray. On the left, you see that the middle square looks much lighter than the top dark gray. But on the right, when you put the two gray bars and connect them, you see that they're actually the same shade of gray. But only in contrast, when you put the two bars, can you notice it? Just like this one, only when you put the covering. It doesn't have to be a white covering. I've done it with gray and black, once you cover the rest of the stuff. And this one doesn't even cover the rest of them fully. It's more translucent. You can still see the colors, but it shades it enough to where it lets your eye perceive it for what it really is. And this is probably one of the stronger ones, but there's stronger illusions. There's other illusions where at first you're like, no, there's just no way this is possible. But then you look at it and you start to say, oh, okay. It really tells us a lot about perception, about how we perceive things and how we can never really see the true face of reality. So even in that, there are other things in that picture we might not be able to discern until we say, hey, let's look at it in this contrast, or let's cover this part and try to only look at this part and see if we see something different. And it's amazing just to even think of a concept of doing experiments like that, because, I mean, who really thinks of stuff like that?
There was a show dedicated to things like this, and I forget what it's called now. I was telling flat earthers they needed to watch it because flat earthers rely so much on their eyes, which is just, it's not enough. It's not enough to come to hard conclusions about anything. So
yeah. Well, also, you look at the psychology of it, because Scribe, I don't think he calls it flat earth, but he calls it the realm. I think Hostile Hyperborean calls it, like, I guess, the plane of existence, that, and I can understand, okay, that's their theory. Me, it's not really, I mean, there's not too much to speculate anymore, because we can speculate as much as we want, but we don't know. We don't know, and we're not gonna know either. So it's like we can get close and really try to figure out what it isn't more surely than what it is. So it's like when we look at human origins, we much surely can say, okay, it's definitely not evolution. It's not going to happen by chance. The mathematics is just, it's improbable to think that these things are going to form by chance, especially certain systems like blood clotting, skeletal systems, certain interdependence, the male and the female. There's just no way that's going to happen by chance. And certain things that can adapt over time, it's going to take too long to change, because something is not going to wait for something to change in order to form with something else that creates a different type of life form. It just doesn't work that way. And so there, we know, okay, we didn't evolve from chance. We don't know what it is on how we were created, but we do see the signature of saying, yeah, this was not just happened. If you find a spoon and that has no mechanical parts, it's just a spoon, you would know that, okay, this didn't form by chance. Somebody made this spoon, a spoon. So if a spoon is not going to form by chance, how could something much more immensely complex, like a cell, that actually needs a membrane so it can absorb and expel nutrients and waste and all of this stuff, that's going to form by chance over billions of years? But a spoon wouldn't form, right? There wouldn't be like pressure and movement and just somehow, but you can get something that almost looks like perfection, and just something as simple as a flower. You're telling me that forms naturally. So logic and reason tells us, okay, we don't know how we were created, who created us, what created us, but we know what didn't create us, which was random mutation by natural selection. That didn't create us. And that's a very important thing to know, that what something is definite or definitively not. It's a very strong power in that. It's like walking down a dark hallway. If you walk in the middle, you might trip over something that you don't see because the hallway is dark. You can't see. But if you put your hand to where you can hold on to the wall or touch it, the wall, which is not the hallway, will guide you down the hallway, which you can't really see because it's too dark, but you can feel the wall on the side of you. So what is not the hallway actually can give you a way to guide you down what is. So what is not can guide us through what is. So what we know reality isn't has the power to help us guide our way through what reality actually is. Even though we can't see, or we only perceive a certain percentage of reality at a time, just like we saw in the illusions, we might say, well, wait a second. At first, I think that it looks obvious that the orange is different from the brown. But then when we analyze it, we say, wait a minute, that's not even orange. That's brown too. So it's like seeing two politicians and you say, well, this one's good and the other one's a crook. And then later on you say, wait a minute, no, they're both crooks. I didn't even realize it. So just like both of these are brown, we didn't realize it at first. And then we say, oh, now we see in contrast. So or something is covering up the other stuff, like getting rid of the distractions. That would probably be a good way to put that, But yeah, I know it looks crazy. It looks almost unbelievable, I have to admit. It definitely, there's much more experiments you can look through that might explain it, I would think, a lot clearer than, the way I put it forth.
That what you're explaining is called the apophatic method.
Oh, really? What's that mean?
It means to find the truth through the negative, meaning what it isn't. It's an actual truth discovery called the apophatic method that was used for, eons before, and then everything's been manipulated. We had the trivium and the quadrivium and the apophatic method. Those were the ways how you get to truth, and you never heard of those. That shows you why we can't get to the truth, because nobody knows even how to do it.
Reality always, our perception of reality will always be less than what reality actually is. Reality always is one step ahead at the least, if not several, but yeah, it's really been great speaking with you guys, man. It's about 1:47 here. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate you guys for being here, all the support. Zach, definitely, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it, and supporting and promoting the channel, man. Thank you a lot. Mr. Rex, if anything, I'm going to stream tomorrow too. I'm trying to do the everyday stream. I looked at some of your channel, man. You've been streaming like every day for like a few years, right?
Not a few years since streaming came out. I've been deleted 25 times. So no, I think live streaming, I got access to live streaming in 2018. I mean, I've been making content every day since 2013, but
wow,
I want to say I started streaming in 2018.
Okay. Wow. But because you got like 3,000 or more than 3,000 videos on your channel, right?
That's on this channel. I mean, I put out content every single day since 2013. So I probably made 30,000 videos in this.
Holy shit.
That's a long time. Wow.
That is, he's got, man, you are something, man. That's great, man. It's really great. Yeah, definitely. You're top of the truth seeking community, man. It's great. This is great. Yeah, I'll stream tonight. Probably. I don't know. You usually stream like more during the day, right?
Lately, definitely in the daytime. I've been streaming when my daughter takes a nap, but I got my mom in town visiting, so I got a little more free time right now because she's helping out.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I figured night is easier because then I'm free at night. Mostly. Sometimes I'll get in a little late, but definitely. We'll connect again soon, man. I try to every time I want to usually I'll do it for like 2-3 hours, but when you come on, it's always a pleasure, so just to hang out and talk. Yeah, we got through a good few movies, man. Network definitely up there. Revolver, many other ones, Bronx Tale.
It says Revolver premiered at the Toronto Film Festival on September 11th, 2005. Does that sound right?
Yeah. And it's so basically, because Canada's like Britain, so the UK was when they released it in 2005, and it didn't get released in the US till I think 2008, and it only was shown in about 18 theaters. So they really tried to
they didn't want that movie really out there. They're like, maybe not.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. It's it's deep. You got to think about it. It's easy to miss because I had to watch it like 2 or 3 times and watch clips of it again and say, okay, if somebody analyzes it good, I'm sure they're going to see a lot into it. But the fact that it dealt with the ego, and parts of it, like any movie, it's like, all right, this is a little bit of a stretch, but in the majority, it's pretty deep. Yeah, it's definitely pretty deep. But I think I was getting ready to sleep. K1 dropped away. I had it pinned to the top. I'm surprised. Maybe people don't see it. I thought it was pinned. It had to be. Yeah,
They changed it about a month back. Now it shows up at the bottom. So people, if they're looking at the top, it's actually at the bottom.
Okay. So yeah, because I had threw it in there for this other guy too. Yeah, but yeah, well, tomorrow, yeah, I'll stream at night. If you're streaming today, I'll try to catch it. I'll check in on the computer. See what's. I caught a little bit of the one you were doing today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm glad I found your channel, and I'm happy to keep promoting it. I hope your numbers are growing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it got the subscribers went up a couple of hundred. I would say about 3, because I had about 40, 50, and now it's like 43, 80, I think. So it's like it's climbing, definitely climbing. This guy, I guess he wants to. I'm going to end the stream in about 10 minutes, but there's the link, if you wanted to hop on. K1, I don't know if this guy looks familiar. K1K. Yeah, I think that's it. K1K. Yeah, but if not, yeah, if he doesn't, well, yeah, I'll probably just go to bed, man. But yeah,
it's late.
Yeah, it's been great having you on, man. It's always a pleasure. DK, you take care, man. Have a good night. Everybody in the chat, take care. And we'll talk soon. Have a great night.
Take care. Good night.